No. Hey, oh, there it is. There it is. I had it muted. Probably smart. Probably smart. How you doing, folks? Cody here with IronVerse Comics. Let's go ahead and do that one. There it is. There it is. There you are. Howdy. There's a dog. I hope you folks are doing well this fine Friday. Um, long overdue. Oh, you want all the attention. Long overdue stream. Uh, but we'll start on some other stuff. Um, let's go ahead. Go get it. That's right. Go get it. There she goes. uh, we'll be talking about a particular thread. Let me go ahead and we'll just no, not that one. This one. And then we go ahead and take that off, and I should be there, and this should be here. And we'll be talking about this thread. Uh, many responses. Many. We have a lot of things to talk about. A lot of things I do not know. So that's going to be the meat of this stream. We're going to be exploring these comics and manga and trying to figure out, exactly why they mean the world to these people. And I'm super excited to do that. There's a lot of stuff I'm going to learn, and I'm always excited to learn. Um, but first off, we're going to start talking about I don't know which one. I think it's this one. No, though we are here. I'm very grateful for that. I'm talking about this. Of course, we're into production now. Production will halt around the time of the campaign because putting my money where my mouth is this go to try and see if it really does make a difference. I want to make issue number 4 terribly badly. Uh, the artist rates have gone up as they should. And I'm doing my best. So we're going to have 4 pages ready, inked at least, before the go. We've got one of them in that has a slight tweak I want to do. That's not part of the inking. It's part of an overlay that needed to be done because doing it otherwise doesn't really work so well. In fact, I'll be showing you folks that page probably on here since it's been shown to patrons already. It's been shown to Substack folks. Um, and it will be shown on the campaign page when it's live. So I don't mind showing you that. We've got the thumbnails have been going up on Patreon. Patreon's been getting updates consistently. I'll also be showing the ink work of one of the pinups that we've got going. And honestly, I think that's probably what we're going to talk about for issue number 4. Um, later streams, later times, we'll be talking about the campaign goal and why it's so high. Um, my fears in the campaign goal. We'll also be talking about some pivots that may need to happen with the how we approach this campaign compared to the number 3 campaign. There's quite a bit to talk about there, but that'll all be a separate stream. This one I just kind of want to show you what's moving first here, and then the rest of the stream will be diving into the comics and manga that mean the world to you folks. We might even talk about a couple that mean the world to me. We'll see we'll see where we get, right? But this is up. I'm gonna go ahead and toss the link into chat if you haven't signed up already. I'm guessing anybody who's watching this has, but and I'm very grateful. But do it anyway, right? So right there, there's the link. And go ahead, sign up for free. Doesn't hurt, and it helps me feel a bit more confident in the launch. So there's that. Let's go ahead and we'll dive into. Let's dive into what do we want to do? Let's do the pinup first. So this was shown. The patrons have seen the entire process from pencils to inking of this pinup. It is in the coloring phase right now. Super excited to announce the collaboration with this artist. I love their style and their coloring and line art style. I love. I backed their book right away when I saw it. For one, it was a science fiction western, right? So I'm all over that. But for 2, I don't know, it's very unique, and I love finding unique indie talents that aren't getting the traction I think they deserve, and doing what I can to boost that, and to taking advantage of it because I love the work and I want to see more of it, and particularly I want to see their take on it. So I'm hoping when I click this, it's the right one. So let's see. It is. All right. line art for the second guest pinup, second of three guest pinups for issue number four's campaign. The first guest pinup was from Illustrator Monk. Um, love their work. It was a big hit. The first pinup that was done was a big hit. The last campaign, so I had to do a round two on that. This, however, is by Boogiebot. You may be aware of his comic, the thing that caught my attention, Robert. I believe that's still live on Indiegogo. I believe it's in demand, is what it is, and I totally recommend checking it out so you can see kind of what the colors are going to look like on this. But again, I loved his heavy inking style. I don't know, and he took a wonderfully creative approach by doing a little Iron Horse. So I'm super excited to see this finalized and then share it more publicly, right? This is sharing it publicly. People don't catch this stuff too much for the, so on in other places, I'm super excited to show it off. But I mean, look at the details there. I love it. I'm 100% in love with this. If you want your chance to get a hold of it, these three pinups are going to be campaign exclusive. They may find their way to the IronVerse Comics store for one if we don't fund. And I don't feel like doing a round two for issue four, or for two, in like 6 to 8 months. Um, as various things, right? I don't think we'll be doing the same kind of style. In terms of what I'm doing with this campaign for the pinups is we will have a 11 by 17 that will come with your comic. You'll get one or three randomized, and then you'll have the ability to add on um, any of the three posters or all three as full size 24 by 36s, so full size movie posters. I also showed off mine. I have the Illustrator Monk piece as a 24 by 36, and it came out great. I adore it. So I'm hopeful that'll add some traction. I really am, and I think the artists we got a hold of are doing some really cool work. So far, two of three are coming. The third one is actually waiting for our wonderful line artist on the book to get to the character design more in depth of one of the four things that happen in issue four. One of the four antagonists, I'm gonna call them, in issue four, and I'm super excited for that because I would love to see her take on it, and I'll be filling you in on that as we get there. But this is the line art for the second bit. Patrons can already get a hold of it. If you're a comic colorist, I would have a lot of fun seeing folks try this. But you got to be on our Patreon to get a hold of it. So go check that out if you would. Dollar a month, especially when we're into this making comics kind of phase, you will be getting quite a bit of value. Not only for that dollar a month on Patreon do you get access to our digital library, which right now includes a 42-page manga and all three Jack Irons issues digitally for that dollar. You can just download them. DRM free too. Put it on whatever the hell you want, and share them around if you want. I don't. I want the IP to be known and enjoyed, and the messages within to be heard. Of course, I want to make money and make more, but we're not at a stage where we have to jealously guard our treasures. We're at a stage where I want people to see them and enjoy them. But first of those three pinups, I'm super excited. I'm so happy with how the inks came out with this, and I'm so glad to share it with you. And then the big thing. So issue number four, we've taken our steps into it. I'm so glad about it. Again, there's a fix, and we'll be talking about the differences between the first three issues and this issue in terms of Maxie's art style, which has evolved basically every issue. In fact, has evolved, not basically, has evolved, period, each issue. That might even be a whole nother stream to talk about because there's a lot, a lot there. But we'll be talking about this. Boom, page one, inks of issue number four. It's our introduction. Um, it's our introduction on our dive into Famine Inc., his particular hellscape on Earth. It is issue number four is a retread of a very old uh, introductory religious tale, um, and I'm hopeful its structure. I like very much what I did to restructure it. I like the personality I injected in the script, and as always, Maxi is improving what I wrote, which is incredible. It's a beauty. I love collaborating with this guy. So there, the fixes is actually in this map, but you got to zoom in really close to see it. So we're not gonna do that. We're just gonna leave it like this. If you want to see it more in depth and even pick out what I'm talking about on that map, check out the Patreon. But if you've been following our work for a while, each issue again has had Maxi's line art style, and he does not everything traditionally. Like since issue I think I don't think it happened in two. So I think since issue three, he's used a few digital tricks to make his job easier. Which God, I don't blame him. But he does like 95% of it traditionally. The digital tricks on here you can probably figure out. Besides the map there, which is a digital trick, of course. Um, Doubling the horses, he only has to ink one horse, and then he can overlay and double if he does it correctly, and it's the same here. I think that's fine. In fact, I love it that they move in lockstep because they are two halves of the same artificial intelligence in the story. So I think it actually adds quite a bit to it. But uh, people who have read issue number three know what this is. They know what this is going, and we know what Jack's doing. What Maxie added specifically to this page is how he structured this panel, which became an homage to Akira, which I think was just a wonderful, wonderful addition. I'm so stoked. When he brought that up, I was just so happy. Um, Instead of Akira walking towards his bike coming this way, it's Jack walking towards his bike coming this way. Instead of looking at Akira from the front, we're looking at Jack from the back. I think just an incredible idea, and I'm so glad he did it. That's the kind of stuff he does, and the next thing we talk about after this page, which is the what he did for page 2 and 3 so far. Yeah, you'll see how he adds things. But um, between issue 3 and 4, Maxie worked on a project called Kids and Monsters. He also worked on a project called Kill Journal, a short in Kill Journal, which is really cool. I worked on Kill Journal. In fact, the entire Jack Irons team, except for our letterer, worked on Kill Journal, which was really cool. I love Gifted Rebels. Please check out all their work. Adam Lawson, incredible dude to work with. Um, as an editor, I loved work with him as an editor on writing work. I really learned a lot, and I really appreciated working with him. And I'm glad Maxie got to work with him and Steve got to work with him. But uh, he's been changing styles. Maxie continuously tries to evolve. So between issue 1 and 2, there was, God, 5 or 6 years um, before we got to producing the line art for issue 2. And with that, Maxie's style had changed quite a bit. It got issue 1 has a cleaner style, I want to say, and then issue 2 it went a little bit rougher, but added a lot more personality. Then from 2 to 3, it kind of did the same thing, got a little gruffer and added more personality. And I think that's what he's done between issue 3 and 4. In particular, his inks, which he brought up to me, they're going to be rougher and grimier because that's what he's doing. And he wants to make this issue darker, which is wonderful considering what we may have to do for this campaign, which again, I'll talk about another stream. But as you can see, the inks are very heavy, um, very grimy, very dirty, which I think is going to benefit this issue quite a bit because we are stepping into hell. It's almost like stepping into another dimension, but it's in the same place. New Deadwood is protected and taken care of. It's more of a Fallout world where things are established and it's dirty, but things are established. Uh, Once you cross that border into Famine Inc., though, it's established, but it is almost, again, another dimension. And these are our first gander and look into it, and we'll be going through it. Issue number 3 is a mix of like Dante's Inferno and yeah, I've brought it up. Most people haven't really brought it up too much. But I've tried to. People haven't hooked onto it very much, so I'm always lament to mention the main story structure of it because I want people to pick it up. I want somebody to say, "Oh, I see what you did here," without me having to tell them. But it's a mix of Dante's Inferno and Siddhartha's awakening to what reality is outside of the palace, which is a encounter with four particular individuals, and that's what this structure is. The city reminds me of Akira 1988. Exactly. And this panel right here is a direct homage to Akira. Max is a big Akira fan. I am too. We're playing with a cyberpunk dystopia. It's great. You said there was a lot of Blade Runner in this as well, and I could feel that. Um, but I think you're right. I think it's closer to Akira. And also, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for stopping by and commenting. I appreciate that. But this is the first completed inked page. Again, there's some, if I was to zoom into here, there's some stuff that I think needs to be fixed. You can't see it at this resolution, but if we were to go this far into it, you'd be able to see it. But I'm going to wait till he cleans that up before I zoom in on anything like that. But that's where we're at. We should be moving to page 2 and 3. In the next couple days. He pumped this out in like a day. He put together a thumbnail, ran it by me real quick. In fact, you know what? Let's boom, boom. Yeah, you're gonna see some things that are Patreon exclusive. We'll be talking about what I just scrolled over here in a second. Um, here's some process work. Here's some process work if you're curious. But I want to show you the thumbnail so you can kind of get an idea. Yeah, there it is. All right. Open image in new tab. So was the proposal thumbnail. And he decided to change up that angle into centering Jack and looking at the first of those four encounters I've talked about. Um, but yeah, this was the thumbnail. Very much exactly. As soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, okay, I know what panel you're talking about. that was dope. That was dope. But yeah, you can see what he did when he went through the process. He decided, you know what, Jack to the right, the shifted perspective that way isn't kind of what he wanted to do. He wanted to center Jack. And I think that was a smart decision. And again, I don't need him to run these things by me because he has a much better artistic eye than I do. And seeing this final page is just, oh man, I'm so glad to be back into the making comics bit of our. You can consider the marketing bit. You can consider these streams that I do. You can consider a lot of it as part of that process because it keeps the fire going. But it's not the bit I love the most. This stuff is. Um, oh yeah, man, and I have them open all the time. There's like 7 documents here I'm working on at all times. That's to remind me to transfer a title over from a vehicle. Um, these three, 2 of these have to do with the stream. In fact, I can close one of these because I was just watching the stream start up to make sure it worked on one of them. And then the others, talking about what we're going to do when we're done with this issue 4 talk. And then there's that, and then this one I use as a bookmark for getting through all these sites a little bit easier. And of course, I recommend visiting IronVerseComics.com if you haven't been there. At the very least, you can start reading Jack Irons digitally for free. You can start reading Cactus Coyote digitally for free. The links to buy our comics are up here. I mean, everything's here. This is, if you're interested in our work, this is the place to be. But I guess that kind of covers this page 1. So we're going to talk about page 2 and 3. I'm going to give you a little bit of the what you saw there for a second while I was scrolling through Patreon. Again, Patreon's getting all this stuff directly, um, basically as soon as it comes into me, which I think is pretty cool. If you're into what we do, that's the number one place to support us. Again, $1 a month. If we were getting that from quite a few people, it would make a massive difference to our production time, and it is any kind of subscription service. So anywhere you can support us, Substack as well is the way. Substack Global Comics as well. We actually have a subscriber on Global Comics that helps quite a bit. Um, any way you can support us with that consistent donations is how we can build a base that would allow us to produce comics not once a year, not once every 2 years. No. We could produce comics at a certain level of support, right? Every 2 months. I mean, we would be able to make comics, and man, that would be the dream. That's what I want to do. But till then, I gotta set up a circus with a crowdfunding campaign. I have to do the rounds with a crowdfunding campaign. I have to consistently market to keep things alive when we're in production or when we're waiting to start production. Um, and I'm glad I'm able to, absolutely. But none of it is my favorite part and the part that gets you folks more of what we can do. Anywho, well, it is, but it's a stopgap more than a machine. I'm still trying to build that machine. Anywho, on to page 2. I already showed off this pinup. Super stoked, super stoked. And again, welcome, Just Doug. If I hadn't welcomed you already, thank you for stopping in. Um, Another set of thumbnails. This is what's coming in. I'm blocking part of it from you guys. Let's see. How could I guess I'll shut myself up. We're gonna keep Chubbs up though. There you go. He's gonna be floating above that. Uh, but I did not write this as a double page spread. Max is like, you know what? I think it would be dope if after you turn page 1, you hit this big double page spread. And here we are. So there you go. I'm not gonna talk too much about it. You guys get the idea. I'm super excited for that line art to come in. Should be hopefully in the next couple days. That would be great. Um, And yeah, we're in production, folks. Issue number 4, and I think that's the main bits I wanted to cover with issue number 4. This go. We'll do a more directed stream about issue number 4 closer to the launch. But this, I just kind of wanted to update you guys and let you guys kind of know where we are um, through the YouTube platform here, which is one of our stronger platforms. It's Yeah, I would say it gets some of the most interaction um, next to Twitter, and I've been updating on Twitter as well. But I save a lot of the stuff for the Patreons, for the patrons, right? The folks who help us keep our website going and all of that. So yeah, but that's what to expect in the next couple days. Is this? I'll be revealing that full page through Patreon, and I'll probably be cutting panels from it and showing it on Twitter as well if you're there. And eventually, again, when I do another update stream for what's going on with issue number 4's campaign, you'll probably see it there as well. But dollar a month on Patreon would make a massive difference for us if you have that. If not, no worries. Just stay tuned, and I'll be filling you in on every platform I got. All right. And I think that's it for that. So I think we can actually dive into the meat of this thing, which is, you think there's a lot of tabs now. Just wait, just Doug. This is going to be a trip. Um, okay, one more little thing. So this is a work in progress. Absolute work in progress. That's all I'm going to show right now. But once that's done, we're going to be using that as a marketing promotion for issue number 4. It's one of the final panels of issue number 3, which of course kind of precedes this page. So anyway, this is what we're doing, and there's a lot to cover here. So that's why I said this stream may be a while. I might even need another cup of coffee. I'm almost done with this, and I can guarantee it's cold. Yeah, that's some cold coffee. Oh, dog. Dog's over there. Cat's over here. Yeah, it works. You know what? I'm going over here, miss. Go over here. Oh, I gotta turn on the camera. I gotta turn on the camera again. I forgot. I forgot. There I am. There she is. Come on over, Miss Lita. Come on up here. You don't have to lay on the bed. Dougie Doug. Dougie Doug. Come over here. You gonna join me? Or you just gonna sniff my knee? Sniff the cat. Dougie. Yeah, you know what's up. You know what's up, Dougie. All right, so let's just okay, hi. Let's go ahead and dive right into it. I'll have to check those notifications later. So, I posted this, as you can see, months ago, and I've been meaning to get to this particular stream forever. There was a couple different ways I wanted to handle it, right? I thought I've been diving into video editing lately. You might notice our quickies have upped the production value, and I've posted a few gameplay videos where I cut a lot of the crap out. It's been fun. I've been enjoying video editing quite a bit. And I thought maybe I would want to do this that way so I can have it focus more on the stuff and a little bit less on interaction with live streams, right? But I thought, you know what? I have two other videos, like 3-hour videos uh, of gameplay between myself, my editor, and some other comic creators that I want to edit. So doing this one, which might be a very long stream, and then having to edit it didn't sound that appealing, even though it might flow better. um, but also, I thought, you know what? Live stream allows interaction, folks to comment on these ideas, right? The why these folks love these runs. And so we'll be, I guess we just got to go from top to bottom. I don't know how else I'm going to do it, which means we will be fluctuating between manga and comics just over and over again. We're going to be fluctuating on genres and types of books and all kinds of stuff. So if you will give me just a second to make sure there's nothing like that'll get me in trouble in the thread, which I should have checked beforehand. I don't think there is anything. Some will have pictures accompanying them. Some will not. Um, some I am very much aware of and have enjoyed myself. Some I have no idea, so that's going to be fun. Uh, there's some horror, but I'm not too worried about showing horror. Pardonnez-me. There's going to be some repeats too, of course. I know for a fact Berserk shows up here a couple times, and it would also show up if we're talking about things that mean the world to me. Uh, Show more replies. Okay. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. There's a good chunk here. Uh, yeah, we'll have something to talk about here. We'll have something to talk about here. One more second. It looks like we're pretty clean on most of this stuff. We're gonna have to check the quote tweets as well. I think there's more in the quote tweets, so we'll do that probably after we get through the thread itself. Boom. See anything else that I need to deal with currently? No. All right, we're good. So I'm gonna go ahead and switch back to the thread, and let's just hop into it. I have no idea how this is gonna go. We'll be checking like maybe wikis or anything else for books I do not know and have no idea what to say about. Um, some are just particular runs of comics as well, right? So we'll be talking about those. In fact, we're gonna hit one right away. Um, that's a run, so we'll have to talk about that and figure it out. If you know anything about any of these series, please let me know in those comments so you can talk about them as well and help me figure out things if I'm not aware of them. And even if I am, I want to hear your thoughts. If you're catching the stream later for some reason, I don't know if too many will watch a long stream later on, but if you are, please leave it in the comments too. Please, I want to hear, I can't improve as a comic creator myself without understanding what has resonated with others, and particularly not only what but why. And that's why I was asking this question in the first place. Why was the bigger chunk than what? But you can't talk about why without what. So here we are. Of course, Mrs. H starts off drawing her daydreams was her world. So that's why she got into comics. And then I think she figured out that wasn't exactly what I was asking. And then we got right here. The Supergirl 1996 run was her first comic. It's a story of overcoming your demons and troubled past, how a teen's mind can twist the loving actions of parents into hateful ones. Very true. And how being bad to enjoy yourself for fun can lead you down a dark path. How beauty can come from pain if you choose to make it that way. Let's check out if there was a quote there. Definitely the best run of the character, one of my favorites. So it is seconded. So let's look at Supergirl 1996. So we're going to go over here. We're going to look this up. We're going to see who the artist is. We're going to look at what the plot is, if that's easy enough to figure out. If you know this run, please again let me know. I'm not a Supergirl fan. It's not that I don't like the character; it's just I'm not a fanatic. I don't know much about it. I haven't read much Supergirl. In fact, my biggest knowledge of Supergirl comes from her appearances in Justice League and Justice League Unlimited and the Superman animated series. So that's that's some, but it's not like I don't understand the character. I would never say I do. Um, Peter David, it looks like, was the writer. If I dive into the wrong thing, let me know as well. I don't know. If you guys do know, let me know. We're gonna check out the Superman wiki for it. I don't think this is the wrong thing because I remember her showing this particular number one before. So it's the third ongoing comic book series starring Supergirl. It ran from 96 to '03, so it was almost it was a 7 year run of comics. Wow, beautiful. 80 issues. Whew, so we're not going to be able to talk about everything in there because that is a chunk of a run, and I'm glad it's so beloved. That's wonderful. Every issue was written by Peter David, so it was a straight story from this guy, from one writer, that's again incredible. Um, my guess is they would have said every issue was illustrated by the same guy if it was. So my guess is it was not. We get to look at all 80 covers here. That's kind of cool. We're in no rush with the stream again, so we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. I really do love this cover. It looks like the artist on the interior, might be on the exterior as well, was Gary Frank. And I'm guessing the colorist was Cam Smith. It could be that Gary Frank did the writing, did the art completely, colors and inking as well, and then Cam Smith is the letterer. I don't know, but very clean. It's very much a modern DC style right there. Except it's got a lot of 90s to it, which makes sense in 96, right? So we got our grunge semi-plaid overshirt, which of course I wear quite a few myself still. We've got her Supergirl shirt under it with the cape. You can even see that she is still wearing the cape under it. We've got this stone necklace, which is it red kryptonite would be my guess, but I don't know. We've got a weave bracelet, very 90s again. We got a pinky ring, which again I can't tell if it's supposed to be something particular. And then we have a very 90s skateboard with some stickers topped on it and just a mean looking purple face. I love it. That's a great introduction to a character, um, especially for young ladies in that time, which was still trying to as the fights never ended, it's still trying to push that, we can like what you like as well kind of deal. Um, and damn right you can. Uh, but I don't know. I really like the cover. I really do. It doesn't focus on like her sexuality. It doesn't focus on her beauty. It focuses on what she enjoys. It focuses on putting forward the times, and it focuses on actually, I think those are the two main things I see a focus on. It shows the character, of course, and that she's more than just a Superman clone, I guess is what I'd say. You wouldn't see Clark standing like this. You might see one of the younger Superboys in something like this, but you wouldn't see Clark, right? So it definitely distinguished her from Clark, which was a great choice. Great choice. All right, issue two. More of a classic Superman kind of cover. Her fighting a giant chimera is what it looks like. Badass. I love the firework. Same art team is what I'm guessing from what I see there. Gary Frank and Cam Smith. This one focuses more on the whole she's got a skirt kind of deal, which you'll see a lot for Supergirl. Um, and Wonder Woman, they're like, yeah, no skirt even. But she's about to kick his ass, got an angry face. It's more of a classic superhero cover, showing like the odds are against them, but they believe they can do it. Classic beauty, and I love the coloring. I think it's very, very cool. But again, it's very modern comic book style. Neato. It definitely interests me as a cover, but it's less of a risk than this cover, and I think that's why I like issue number one's cover a bit more. We're on to issue three, The Final Night, Supergirl. This one, okay, I don't like this one as much. So the first two are really good, but this one's a little. She's definitely more masculine in this, just charging through, breaking through, which is fine. You can have the masculinity, but like why. It gets me to ask why she's busting through a window into somebody's office, and kind of it gets me to ask who's this guy in the background, right? But I don't know. It's not as much of a hook as this. Like, oh, cool! I get to see her fight a giant fucking fire cat. She's breaking into some office. Okay, you can already tell. I don't know if there's going to be a big supervillain fight. The action, the hook of the action isn't really shown in this. It's a nice cover, but it's so straightforward and doesn't hook me as much. But if you're reading it, maybe you know exactly what this is and you're already intrigued. But for like, if this was the first issue of Supergirl I saw on the shelf, I bet there's like five other comics that I'd be more intrigued like next to it. It just doesn't have that pop that two and one does. Three. Oh, man, long streak. I was gonna have to breathe because we're on issue 4 of possibly 80 covers. Um, we got Grodd, I'm guessing. It looks like Grodd has her mind control, and now she's all bad girl. That's very 90s. The ape and the devil. So I don't know if it's actually Supergirl under mind control or if it's like another Supergirl clone or something. No idea in the story. If you know Grodd, that's always interesting, right? You'll pick this up. Again, I guess that's Grodd, and Grodd's a psychic, so I'm guessing he's got her mind controlled. It might not be Grodd, and she might not be mind controlled. It doesn't say much in there, but you see a bad girl, Supergirl, and a gorilla behind her. That kind of implies he's got her under his influence, right? You got this broken doll, which might be, and a lot of shattered ruins, right? Which means it shattered her childhood or her childish nature and threw her into a destructive wave, right? Something like that. This again, I like better than this significantly, because you have an idea who the villain is. You get a better idea of what the plot is, and you even get a little bit of symbology to help reinforce what's going on the cover. I like this cover quite a bit. Ooh, I don't like this one too much. I get it. So if you're a D&D fan, you'll be all over this right away, right? It's a blob monster, right? It's a gel monster, and he's slowly devouring her. It's a gel, I think is what they call them, but I could be wrong. Gelatinous cube, I think is what it's called in D&D. It looks like it's been created, right? And it's trying to take her down. It's eating through her stuff. She's in pain. It's an oh no, right? Is this the end of Supergirl kind of cover? Which those covers are pretty classic. We did that. We did one of those issue number three's covers. This is the end of Jack Irons. It was kind of one of those covers. So in that effect, I like that cover trope, but the amount of green in this, it's very again 90s, so it might have worked better in that time, but I don't know, it doesn't hit me. And then just throwing it on a black background, I don't know. I don't know. It's not the best way they probably could have done this cover idea, but it's good. It's good. Definitely again, better than issue 3. Issue three's cover again was the most mediocre, I guess is the best way to say it. Though I like the previous cover better than that. But again, you get to see who the villain is. You get to see that she's having trouble, and you get a pun, bad chemistry. So you know that this creation is artificial. Well, that's interesting. In Darkest Dungeon, they're called slime monsters. Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of different ways that slime monsters, gels, gelatinous cubes. Um, but yeah, it's the concept where there's this one could be contained in glass, right? I really don't know. It doesn't really show too much, but it is like it's that concept of something that devours. It's like a giant stomach that you can see the inside of. It's that concept again, which is it's terrifying, and that was the bit. I get it. Oh, Kal-El finally showed up. Oh, and I forgot her name. Something with something with an rampage is probably what it is. Um, she showed up in the Suicide Squad for a second and then gets murdered uh, in the Suicide Squad movie. But it looks like she's got to try and stop Kal-El from going too far against defeating her. And that's how much is communicated in this cover. I like this cover for that. As her first hero crossover cover in this run, Pretty cool, pretty cool, and it should be Kal-El, right? To be fair, you got the implications of the wider DC universe in issue number one's cover with the Batman sticker on her skateboard. I think there was maybe a Wonder Woman sticker too, but definitely I remember the Bat symbol is on her board. So it implied that she's part of the bigger DC universe, which of course she is. She's Supergirl, but you love to see them reinforce that, and this does a good job about that. You can see her struggling against Kal-El, and you see Cal's fucking pissed. And I like the Dutch angle they chose. I like this cover. It's a very simple tagline. I definitely like it better than the previous cover. I think I like the Grodd cover a bit better, but you can tell that Rampage, I'm thinking that's her name, isn't a threat so much as she's probably done something very wrong to get Cal this pissed off that she has to hold him back. And that's intriguing. It gets me invested in the story from just looking at the cover, which is what you want to do. It's exactly what you want to do. So I really like that. We're still in the same creative team. I love seeing that. We're on issue 6, so that's incredible. On to issue 7. Same creative team again. Excellent. This is another, oh no, is this the end of Supergirl cover? They wanted to imply something with this Linda Danvers, who I actually have no idea who that is. We've got this ghost, I guess, controlling this gargoyle creature at the same time as messing with Kara's mind, I'm guessing. Um, it's intriguing. It doesn't intrigue me as much as the previous cover. Especially since they actually had to put his "who is," I don't know, that changes my perception of it, but I like it. Um, kind of want to know what the gargoyle thing is. I love what they did with the eyes of the gargoyle quite a bit, actually, and the fact that this is overlaying the Supergirl logo at the same time as like doing something to her mind, because it's not like the mouth of the gargoyle is pulling on her hair, right? No, Kara's like freaking out and pulling on her own hair. So yeah, I like it. I like it. No idea what the story would be like. No idea. Um, Same creative team, but this time with close-ups, which actually seems to change the style a little bit. She's so the artist for the Supergirl definitely is more of a masculine kind of artist, line artist for sure. She's got a very masculine face right there. Um, Something I'd expect more from like Wonder Woman than Kara, but eh. Misery date. So it's some guy. Okay, so this one Black Finger Page 2. I don't know. This one would be interesting. If Supergirl was marketed towards ladies, this might be a good power fantasy about dickheads, right? Bad men. So that's probably what they were going for here. I love that he's missing a tooth, but he's loving every second of it. He's got a black eye all messed up. The drinks are spilled. It's actually mixing with his blood in there. That's kind of neat. It's definitely it goes the hardest and edgiest of all these covers so far. I don't know. I don't know. The 70s style lettering there for Misery Date is kind of kind of interesting to me. I don't know, like the 60s kind of psychedelic, I guess, or early 70s kind of psychedelic lettering there. It's Austin Powers, right? Style lettering. Kind of curious there. I like it. Now, I don't know if I actually have the energy to go through all 80 issues of the run, but we're getting an idea. Let's go at least to 10, and then we'll maybe check the Wikipedia a little bit further to see if it talks about what the story is. Because so far, it's not telling me much about the story. It feels like again, it's a superhero comic geared towards ladies, which is what you would expect from Supergirl. But I want to know why it resonated so well. And so far, the art, I get it. The art's nice. It's clean. Um, all I can tell from these covers, however, is that it follows a lot of superhero tropes, and that's fine. But like, it tells me nothing. tells me very much, very little, very little. Same creative team again, issue number 10. Uh, this seems to imply that she's losing whatever attitude or whatever she had with that issue one. They're literally lighting it on fire and burning it off of her while really showing the Superman part of her personality, right? So that's my guess. Is that this issue was a turnstone in terms of how she acts, which from this previous issue that maybe makes sense, right? She's losing some of her youthful nature maybe by this one, and she's trying to grow fully into what Supergirl is. That would be my guess from this. I like it. Yeah, she even cut her hair, right? It's yeah, it's my guess would be this is a transformative issue or the final bit of a metamorphosis that begun in that previous issue or has been going through the whole series would be my guess. And it communicates that very well. Like I haven't read it, and I'm pretty sure that's what they're going for. They really like their pure black backgrounds in this series, and I don't know if I do as much, but it definitely brings focus to the fire. So I think this one handled it better than trying to bring focus to it in that gel creature issue. And we'll stop here at issue 10. Uh, Kind of an homage to Action Comics, picking up a big thing, saving people. This is a Superman cover, and I do love seeing that. Very cool. Again, the whole cover actually has artwork on it. It's not doing the whole black thing again, which is nice. And they changed art teams by issue 10. There you go. So it's a different approach. Um, she still has the Superman strength, but again, it's a little bit more feminine now in the face and the hair. Very cool. So the original art team was 1 through 9, it looks like, and then it transferred. So I'm guessing then issue 9 was like the finish of the first story arc, her becoming Supergirl, and then by the next issue, she's got this more Superman presentation on the cover. That makes sense to me. I like that quite a bit. So let's look at the first 9. I couldn't do 80, folks. It's just too many. It's just too many. So we'll just scroll through them real quick and you get an idea. They really love the pure black on these covers. I think it's a cop out. I love Banshee though. I always liked Banshee's style. But anyway, we'll go through and you can kind of get an idea. Just go check out this site yourself if you want to look at all 80 covers. There's an homage. Look, and by what is it, issue 51, she's going back to issue 1. That's interesting. Okay. And when she change outfits to that classic one I've seen quite a bit in Justice League. Oh, right there. That was the change. She's becoming her own, and she's no longer trying to be Kal-El. That'd be my guess. Nito burrito, and there was 2 annuals. Does it talk about what the story is, or did it just like here's the issues and here was the creative team? Oh, it doesn't talk about the story at all. Okay. Hmm. Nope, not even a little bit. So my guess then, and I can't talk to it. If Mrs. H, you get this far through this and you want to explain a bit more in depth, like if there was a favorite issue or how far you got into this 80 issue run, please let me know. If anybody else watching knows this and can see why people have resonated with it so well, please let me know. Comments below or in chat if you're around and you catch this up. My guess is it's a well, Mrs. H did say it. Let me go back. It's a story of overcoming your demons and troubled past, which we could see through the covers, right? All these transformations and growth cycles. Um, this bit, I could see that too. There was definitely the Grodd issue had this as a cover, and then how she tries to switch. So it's a lot of metamorphosis, and apparently the execution on those metamorphoses could resonate quite well with particular Mrs. H. And so that's a tough thing to do. It's always been tough to make for Western comics, which have always been very focused on masculine ideals, to translate that into a more universal concept with more feminine ideals as well, which there's a lot of different battles there, and we all go through a lot of the same ones, but there's different feelings and pathways that we take, right? And I'm glad to hear that there is a Supergirl that handled that well. I'm very glad to hear that. So we're gonna go to the second one. We're gonna go to the second one. I think I hit Supergirl long enough, and we're going straight to manga. So I've heard about this. I've heard about this quite a bit. The series Promised Neverland. He wanted to talk about this quite a bit himself. It's his favorite manga series. Um, and then he also mentions these two's run on Batman. Now, I've heard a lot about Promised Neverland, so all we can really do with this one is I want to look at some of the manga pages, and then we're going to look at the synopsis of Promised Neverland, because I know it more as an anime, and even then I didn't jump into it, but I kind of know the concept where it's a bunch of kids in a weird situation, and certain kids start disappearing from this weird situation, and it's them trying to figure out what's going on, what's going on in this promised Neverland, which I'm guessing is a takeoff of the Peter Pan concept of Neverland, where kids never grow up, except they never grow up because they die. I'm thinking is what this one is. But I don't Wikipedia, maybe it'll have some manga pages. So that's freaking stunning. I love that cover. Adapted the series. There, here we go. This is what I wanted. The series follows a group of orphan children in their plan to escape from their orphanage. Okay, so the place I was talking about was an orphanage. After they learn the dark truth behind their existence and the purpose of the orphanage. All right. Again, that artwork is gorgeous. Plot. The bright and cheerful Emma is an 11-year-old orphan living in Gracefield House, which is the Neverland, I'm guessing, a self-contained orphanage housing her and 37 other orphans. They lead an idyllic life. Oh, you get all the food, comfortable, got it. And they have a mom called Isabella. Okay, their education is seen as an important part of the development, and Emma, with her two best friends, always excel. The orphans are allowed complete freedom except to venture beyond a perimeter wall or gate, which separate the house from the outside world. Okay. One night is sent away to be adopted. Okay, and that's what I was thinking. At the gate, they find her dead. So she didn't even go very far. They actually find the corpse. They didn't even do a good job of getting rid of her. Okay, and discover the truth. To be raised as meat for demons. I guess that's spoilers, folks. Sorry. There probably will be spoilers throughout this whole thing. I didn't even think about that. So spoiler warning when we have things like this, right, where I'm actually going to dive into the plot. The Supergirl thing, there's no spoilers because there's no plot I could find to dive into. But this tells you right away. Um, my guess is it lulls you into a false sense of security with this part, which is probably the maybe first volume, and then they break it by showing you a corpse, and then they start really feeding you the meat of what the mangaka wanted to communicate. Um, and they want to defeat the demons that are eating the kids. Cool. Now my hope is it will show some art, and my hope is thoroughly crushed. So let's look at some manga pages. I want to see like the technical skill. High detail, high emotion, focusing on sadness. Um, and the demons there too. Um, whew. Yeah, and it's actually a grittier style thing because this art style is usually more light and playful, but this guy uses very heavy lines for a mangaka, and definitely focuses on trauma. Um, so I'm not a big horror fan myself, so I have difficulty communicating why people resonate with horror so much. But a lot of it, I'm guessing, is they can relate in some ways, and though the horror is usually communicating something just ridiculous, way bigger, the the spark of that horror, why it was made, is what resonates with people. Uh, Going down to the core, and then the execution is just what allows these folks to really enjoy it. Um, so that's my guess. I'm assuming the story ends up being a bit hopeful. You're seeing a lot of very weak characters, children, right? Overcoming something as great and as dark and as evil and as powerful as a system like they're existing in that orphanage and these demons. That would be my guess with this show and manga, but I can't tell you. Exquisite. It's actually quite busy for a manga page, um, but very well done. Flows well. Lettering's exceptional as always, even though it is of course, a translation, right? In fact, it's a fan translation from right there, I'm guessing. In fact, it's probably a pirated page. But that's my guess with Promised Neverland. Um, I could see somebody going through a hard time seeing these, again, these weaker characters like children, being able to overcome such a dark system, being inspiring and resonating with people. I 100% could see that. Uh, I don't know much about these folks' run on Batman. I know he was it Snyder? No, it's Tom King that got a lot of crap. So I don't know much about Scott Snyder's run. Let's look at Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo, and I like Capullo's art quite a bit. Uh, Batman. Let's see if we can find a page. Oh, let's see if that'll even type. Cat. Be good if it typed, right? We'll go with a page. We'll go with a page and see if I can get it from there. Otherwise, how to have a little. No, it doesn't tell me what. We might have to check out Amazon there. But let's go to images. So we get a cover here. Let's check out the cover. Volume 1. Oh, wow. It's like 900 pages, I guess. So this is very much like that Supergirl run. It's just an extraordinary. Yeah, yeah. It's just an extraordinarily long run on a beloved character. Um, Art's punchy. I love his hatching. It gives it a little bit of a Frank Miller feel with how he the geometrics that he uses. You know, the shapes of things give me a little bit of a Frank Miller feel, which is great. But of course, with more of a Todd McFarlane kind of detail to it, right? Very cool. Um, Looks like he's beating up folks in Arkham Asylum because I think that's the Riddler, and I think that might be like Killer Croc there, and that might be Harley. I think that's Two Face. Not sure who the guy in glasses is because you can't really see it. Oh no, I think he's God, um, Scarface. I want to say, the guy with the mob puppet, but I couldn't guarantee that. He's the one I'm not really sure of. But I like the art quite a bit. Now I don't. Let's go ahead and check out the Amazon question here. Looks like it was 33 issues and 2 annuals. At least on this first volume one, right? I don't know how many volumes they actually put out. Um, Introduced the Court of Owls, which I've heard quite a bit about. In fact, I think that's even slightly getting introduced here relatively soon in the films, I want to say. Oh, and this is when Joker cut off or had his face cut off and he like had it taped on for a while. I read something with the Joker in that. It was like a return. Oh, Return in Death of the Family. Yeah, I read that. I read that. So I have read actually some of this. Because I was really interested in the Red Hood. So I read, the Return of Jason Todd. I read a little bit of Hush, because Hush had that little bit where it's showing off the guy in bandages, right? Which I don't remember if it was Jason Todd or somebody who was pretending to be Jason Todd. I think that was part of the bit. And of course, I read the original Jim Starlin Death in the Family, which was when they killed Jason Todd. That's where I started this whole Red Hood thing, so I kind of wanted to see how that progressed. So I also read this. And then they retell Batman's origin again, so it's another soft reboot, right? So people can start on it. That's great. Um, Actually has a lot of different writers and artists coming through it. Nito Burrito. So I'm guessing it was just a very well tight reboot of Batman and a great place to jump onto the series. And I think that's probably a good chunk of why it's beloved, but I'm sure the actual beats and heart and soul of certain arcs in this run is why it helped him get through some difficult times. There's also probably some good escapism, right? Um, that'd be my guess. That'd be my guess. It's a neat double page spread. It's a little busy, but I like it. Okay, anywho, so I guess that'll cover that. It's nicer when they say a little bit more of exactly why it resonated with him. Like neither of these things said it too much, except for this got him through some really tough times. I don't know if it's because the series communicated strength to him or if it was just good escapism. I couldn't say. And same with this as well as I don't know why we're guessing here, but both are very cool, very cool, and yeah, probably worth checking out. Let's go here, and this will be fun to look at because I love these. I mean, if you're looking at indie, TMNT is just a wonderful place to go. So let's go TMNT original run with the original turtles. Some fun stuff. Yep, from Mirage. And we'll go here too because I want to show you some of that art because it's so cool. It's so indie and it's so good and it deserved every ounce of success they found they deserved. So he'd say the original TMNT comics and a few issues runs of Amazing Spider-Man. So we're probably not going to hit Amazing Spider-Man because there's a lot of Amazing Spider-Man, right? They both represent a wonderful moment of his youth and they invigorated his imagination. So I can see that very much. One of the best things about the original run of TMNT is just how indie it was and how it broke through these barriers and how it just led to so many other series and so many other inspirations. And for me as a kid, right, I didn't even know about how edgy and hardcore the original TMNT was because I got, the cartoon, the 80s cartoon, and then all the toys they were putting out, and then, the movies, everything that was a little bit more child friendly. And the fact that they were able to pivot this series to that, incredible. Um, I love the artwork. I love the artwork, and I'm sure a lot of the storylines can resonate really well with people. I have not read um, any of this. I've almost picked up the first volume a few times, and I just other things take priority. But I am a huge fan conceptually, and as of indie, I can see it being a massive inspiration. And I'm glad we get to hit it this go. Let's look at that a little bit closer. I love it, love it, love it, love it. All right, so that's that. We're not going to look at Amazing Spider-Man because it's kind of tough to know exactly what he's talking about. It wasn't that specific, but there you go. Here we go. This one's tough. This one's tough. So I know quite a bit about both these series, and they would also mean the world to me. So I guess we'll start with Bone, and then we'll go to Berserk because they are night and day, and I love that this person, very much like me, can exist in that night and day and get cat, ow, claws, can get something meaningful out of both, and I absolutely agree. So Jess Smith's Bone, we'll start with. And let's see if it'll just show me a page. Would be great. That's a good one. But I want the black and white because that's how I know it. Some process stuff, but that's not exactly what I want. You know what? I don't think that's process stuff. I think that's a double page spread somebody burnt and put on them. No, no, that's not. It just didn't finish loading in or finish scanning or something. There you go. There you go. That's actually the book like open. Let's go with that. So this series means the world to me as well. Uh, I first came across it when I was starting to collect comics. Um, I would buy on eBay. They do like $15, $20 random compilations of books, right? So like stores that have a ton of back issues will throw copies of back issues into a random like gift box, a grab bag box. And you can get those really cheap. And that's how I started my comic collection because, where do you start comics? Well, random is a great place because you never know what you're going to get. And that way you can find things that you'd never have heard of. Um, as a beginning comic reader, and I'm so glad I started there. And one of those bundles, I was getting graphic novels because I was like, well, let's get some bang for my buck, and I might get more completed stories instead of issue number 32 of blah blah blah, and then I don't have 31, I don't have 33, and it's just like a chunk of a story, right? And it's like, okay, that's fine, but I don't get to finish it. So I was like, graphic novels are more likely to at least have a complete, like a volume might have a complete story arc in it. So I was like, okay, that's worth it. And I got Bone like volume 8 in one of those grab bags. And I started it and I was like, okay, this is volume 8. There's not, like, I don't know what's going on. And then I read it and it was so charming. It was just absolutely charming. It was playful. The line art's so clean and crisp, and the story and characterization is so clear that I could start at volume 8 and still get something really good out of it. And volume 8 is like the second to last volume. But I adored it. And that got me super interested in Jeff Smith. And then when I started really creating comics and read about how Bone was created and all the work he got and all the work he put into actually making it like something viable and getting it out to stores and all of that, how Cartoon Books Inc. is just so super indie. It was such an inspiration. He called every comic book store in America to see if he could get them to carry Bone. Um, Still a wonderful inspiration to me. Just Smith's story and the work he puts out, absolute inspiration. I just got Tukey Volume 1 from him recently, which was his first dive into crowdfunding. And I love Tukey. I'm so excited for the Volume 2 to come out. But Bone itself is a high fantasy, almost Calvin and Hobbes in its charm and the characterization, and it still tries to deal with these heavy, hard themes for kids and for adults too. I mean, these themes tend to not leave your life, and just in a beautiful way. There's a little bit of a romance story. The character designs are super simple for the Bones themselves, the Bone Brothers. Um, they have the characterizations are very clear, right? They have their tropes to them. We have our happy-go-lucky guy. We have our swindler, kind of always trying to make money guy, and then we got our main character who's kind of the soul of the family. And then we have our other main character, which is almost a MacGuffin herself. Like she's almost a personified MacGuffin. And the journey, her journey, and Phony Bones' journey here. I think Phone Bone. I think that's which Bone brother he is. It's just wonderful. It's full of heart. It's full of ups and downs, all kinds of charm. This man and her grandma's story is just wonderful. How you see the world building build. It is a fantasy epic when you read it from start to finish, and it's something worth reading again and again and again. It is a beautiful, charming story. It's one of the most charming stories I've probably ever read in sequential art. I couldn't recommend Bone enough, and I'm sure there's a lot of things that I'm not hitting um, that resonated with this other person, but I cannot recommend Bone enough. Whether you're like 8 or 80, it's a wonderful story. It's a wonderful story. Please check out Bone. Um, there's color editions, of course, too, if you're not into the his black and white style. But that's how I read it, and I adore it. And I'm a manga reader, right? So that was no problem for me, especially how crisp and clean his line art is. And then we're going to check out somebody else's line art, which is very crisp and clean, and you can feel the madness in the lines. Oh God. So what we're going to do, because this is Berserk, I'm going to be showing you, is I'm going to do this. I want to find a panel or double page spread from Berserk that I can just kind of overlay while I'm talking about it because there's a lot of Berserk I can't show you. I would be remiss after showing you something as lovely and charming and kid friendly as Bone, and then jumping straight to Berserk. I would be remiss if I hit it too hard. So this is a perfect example of his line work, and it's not too graphic. Berserk deals with some of the heaviest themes life has. So I really don't want to show a lot of that. I mean, we get rape, murder, torture, just and like the worst kinds of those things, right? Like as concepts, those are bad enough, but then the flavors of those things that he chooses to tackle to build up Guts as a character and the journey is incredibly heavy. Berserk, I had to read, I'd read a volume or like a handful of chapters, and then I'd have to read Gru the Wanderer. Something that was lighthearted, similar in like setting in terms of this fantasy kind of. I mean, Gru is a Conan spoof, right? So it's got that heavy medieval edge to it, but playful. Playful is all hell. The Berserk is not playful. In fact, he has. I'm not gonna say it's not playful. It's like in the terms of themes, it's like 2% playful, just enough so that you can fucking breathe. That's Puck's whole concept. Oh, welcome, Mrs. H. I recommend going back. We talked about your. So what we're doing, just to catch folks up, and because it's a good break before I get into this, because this is going to be very heavy, is we are going through this thread and talking about these works and why they mean the world, and me trying to figure it out if I don't know the story very well, right? Which very much here. I did not know the story, but you at least explained it relatively well. We went through about 10 of the covers, and then I kind of guessed why it would resonate so well by looking at the rest of the covers kind of in a box, because there's 80 issues, so it's very hard for me to condense that into like why it would resonate. But I saw that it was a lot of metamorphosis. It was a lot of change of this character from being kind of an angry punk to trying to be like Kal-El, back to trying to find her own footing. That's what I could tell through the covers, and that was wonderful. I could tell that through the covers. I think that was great. Um, but that's what we're doing. We already covered Promised Neverland, and we covered the best I could on this. Again, it was a 33 issue run. I don't really know much, and he didn't give me too much info on exactly why it got him through some really tough times. So I had to guess that it was not only well crafted, it had some good escapism, but it also gave him some strength. That was my guess for Promised Netherland as well. Um, we hit TMNT, which for me is a huge indie inspiration, right? And if that's what got him there, and its style and its grunge, right, and then what it was able to do, um, makes sense. We didn't hit Amazing Spider-Man because again, there's just too many runs, and he didn't really talk about what specific ones. But I can guess with Spider-Man, it was something good. So we're on this Berserk and Bone. We just talked about Bone. Uh, Wonderful childhood fantasy story that has these hugely resonant themes in it, handled with delicacy and care that anybody of any age can appreciate. It is probably my favorite all-age work. And now we're talking to one of my favorite, very much adult works, very very much adult works with Berserk. I actually had to pause to just to find a page and a panel that shows his artistry, but not directly the thematics that he chooses to cover, because some of the thematics in here again are they're covered with care and love, but complete honesty. There's no fucking sugarcoating in Berserk. Again, I said there's no sugarcoating and there's no playfulness. I said that, but that's not true. There's about 2% with that. Puck, his little fairy dude, is the comic relief, which is supposed to give you just enough room to breathe. Otherwise, this series would smother you. Just completely smother you. You can see Attack on Titan does the same thing. You got to have just a little, just a touch of fun. Otherwise, these stories just they would be almost inconsumable because they're just so heavy and dark and not hopeless. That's the bit. That's the biggest thing that these things communicate, and why they resonate so well with me, particularly Berserk, is because he shows you honestly the darkness in the world. Honestly, there's no sugarcoating. There's no just talking about it. He shows you, and then says it's okay. You can bear it and walk through it. That's Guts as a character, and it's just so beautiful. When Miura passed, watching the response on Twitter was one of the most beautiful and heartfelt things I've ever seen from a series that again is gore and violence and darkness and rape and torture and all of this just evil. But his point with it was, yeah, this stuff exists, but you can walk through it. And that's Guts as a character. Is he's gone through some. He has had one of the most traumatic lives of a protagonist in a story, and he still finds a way. Maybe not to be a good man. He makes a lot of bad mistakes, but to bring light with him in some way. And you could see that Miura, in telling that kind of story and sharing it with the world, that light was communicated to thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people, and seeing how dark and how honest he was with and about the darkness allow people to have hope that, we see these things too, uh, and we don't want to crumble to them, and we don't. And that's, oh man, Berserk just means the world. If you are having trouble with depression and you can stomach the reality out there, even though this is a fantasy story, right? So it is still kicked up that 90%, but there is such a level of truth to what he communicates. The stuff we will not talk about, because if we acknowledge it, it makes this whole thing seem that much harder to bear. He talks about it and says, yeah, we can talk about it and we can still bear it and overcome it. Um, ah, it's a heartbreak that we'll never see him finish that tale. It's an absolute heartbreak, but he poured everything into it, just everything he had, and it's there on the page for people to appreciate for as long as it's printed and shared. And it's an expression of beauty that has such dark colors to it that you just can't help but admire it. And of course, you see the insanity in his fucking line work. He was pouring everything he had as a extreme talent into every inch of his artwork in every panel throughout this massive body of work. You see his soul pour onto a page. Very few artists are able to do that. Particularly in Western art, where it's another paycheck for a lot of folks. And it wasn't another pay. This was a masterpiece. This is something he wanted to say, and he was willing to not only spend his whole life doing it, but to expend his whole life doing it. Just, just incredible. Just Berserk will not be for everybody. There's a lot of people who those dark shades of reality just need not be part of their path. But for those who they are part of their path, where everything from molestation to murder to disfigurement to extreme depression to insanity, these heavy things that exist, if those are part of your life and you are if you are struggling with them, there's a reason they call Guts the struggler, because he struggles against these things and somehow he makes and takes steps forward anyway. That's the most beautiful thing about Berserk, and it will always resonate with me and stay in my soul. And there is just some awful things that happen in there. Uh, but again, the point of them is, that shit's out there. You can acknowledge it, you can ignore it, but if you're choosing to acknowledge it, you can also withstand it. You don't have to just run from it. And that's the beauty of Berserk. He's the struggler. It's a wonderful panel that we found. A wonderful expression right there. Guts being so sure. Big chunk of iron. The Dragon Slayer on his shoulder. He's standing strong. He is disfigured. He is scarred. Demons surrounding him. Just a little bit of a smirk. He is in his element. And Berserk is just a gift to the world. As dark and evil and as sadistic as it can be, it is a gift. And I'm so happy to have come across it. Dollar Coin shared it with me at one point. I didn't get it for like the first volume's kind of rough. It's more of a classic kind of manga. But then once he gets into what he wants to say with Guts, the Golden Age arc is where you will love Berserk. It's an incredible tale with some very, very hard things, but that's the point. That's the point. This is probably the story I'll gush the most out of everybody, every communication in here, because of how deep and hard it resonates. Again, not for everybody. There's the graphic nature of the work and the thematics he deals with, again, need not be part of everyone's path. But if it's part of your path, this can help you bear it. It did for me. Berserk is just beautiful in that way. Miura Sensei is just incredible, and the legacy he left will last for as long as people are brave enough to take the journey with. Okay. Stop gushing over Berserk. It's hard not to, though. I did a whole stream on that, on the memorials that people were given when they were told that. It was beautiful. Okay. Here we go. This one's good. Okay, let me go down. I'm in love with Berserk. Um, My Hero Academia by Hirokoshi for the message it gives. You will always matter regardless of how you are born. If you just put in the work and have a good heart. I had originally, when I was watching My Hero Academia, because of course I didn't stumble upon it via the manga, I stumbled upon it via the anime a little bit before it really hit home too, which was great. I was glad I was a little bit ahead of that curve. Um, I really thought that he would stay like a powerless character, and then like kind of do a Batman path, right, and be able to work that way. Instead, he gets a mentor. Uh, the person he idolized and made him want to be a hero becomes his mentor, and he learns what that is, and the mentor, All Might, is actually a good person. Would you look at that? I, for that alone, and a lot of All Might's thematics, I it's a beautiful example of what a mentor, what an ideal, what an example should be, and what that means and what it can inspire. That's what really resonates with me personally for My Hero Academia. Now, this person says you can earn it, and it gives hope and inspiration there. For me, again, most of what resonates was All Might and what he symbolizes, um, which is what a mentor and example, what Superman should usually be, which is the pinnacle of humanity actually being good. which I mean, in Western media and everything, we love power given sadism, and I'm long sick of that, and I think a lot of people were, and that's My Hero Academia has a lot of the opposite, and I think that's what really allowed it to hit, right? Then he talks about, and besides the art style is really nice in My Hero Academia. It was unique for the time. Now I've seen a lot of mangaka that kind of emulate it, right? Because it was popular, but for the time, it had a very unique kind of square, more square art style than a lot of manga has. And then Nightfall, which I know a little bit about Nightfall, and I know a lot about Chuck Dixon. And that's this one. You can get back up. This man who, again, the pinnacle of humanity is broken. You know, Bane breaks the bat quite literally over his knee, and that, you know, shaken to the core, as he says, Batman thought he was relatively invincible, being one of the most incredible people on Earth, and somebody breaks into his home and breaks him, uh, and that knocks him on his ass, and he still ends up picking himself up and taking down Bane. And that's a wonderful story. That is a great thing to communicate. And the art was pretty solid. I have the Breaking of the Bat issues myself, and those covers are iconic because you know what's going to happen. Batman's fucking broken over his knee. In fact, let's look that up so I can show you. Just in case you haven't seen it, it's worth checking out. I want to show you that cover. If this will type. I think it was a couple issue run, and it led to Azrael being a thing, which I'm not the biggest fan of Azrael. There it is. Yeah, I have this one. I have this version of it, not that version. Oh, that's tiny. Do we have a higher? Yeah, there's a higher res one. It's not the cover I have though, but it'll work. It's the same. It's the same cover, just different graphic design. So we'll go with that instead. Oh, I don't need to download it. That's not too bad, but we'll look at this one because it's not gonna show up. All right. Let's reopen tab, reopen tab. We'll just use this one. That's it. He's in the Bat Cave. You get your giant penny, you get your T-Rex, right? And just snapping Bruce over his knee. very iconic. Um, Working towards issue 500 of Batman, right? Um, but yeah, it's a wonderful tale of rebuilding yourself from the ground up, even though you were amazing and you thought you had it all. It's a great, very inspirational kind of story. I guess I can close Berserk. Um, so that makes sense to me, very much so. Here's something that I don't know much about, but I love the cover. I think that's got to be Sienkiewicz. It's got to be Sienkiewicz. Um, so for this fella, Transformers, the original Marvel run, some really good stories and a change of writers towards the end of the series, as well as the UK version of the comic, helped flesh out more in this. So he just really liked this run. So I can't tell you why he really liked this run, so that's not all that helpful. Um, that's Sienkiewicz. It couldn't be any other artist. Um, it's just too iconic kind of a style. Um, I grew up with the Transformers as a kiddo, particularly Beast Wars on Saturday mornings, and then that led me to check out like getting the toys and stuff, and then you get cars, and then that led me to be interested in the original series, and I watched a good chunk of that as a kiddo too. Um, Giant robots. The main thing that resonated with me with Transformers was indeed the toys. They were three-dimensional puzzles that a little kid could figure out, and I took great pride in figuring out those three-dimensional puzzles. And I'm sure it helped with my logical reasoning as a kid. So that's why Transformers matters to me. But in terms of story-wise, I never really resonated with Transformers stories so much until recently with oh God, what is it called? War on Cybertron, I think, the Netflix series, and how they handle division of ideals, how a good intention can become evil with Megatron, and how a good person can make really bad decisions with Optimus Prime, and vice versa. A very bad person can make very good decisions. Um, Really well done. I recommend watching War for Cybertron or War on Cybertron or War of Cybertron. I don't remember which one it is, but it's the CGI Netflix series. It's really good. How they deal with leadership is incredible. I loved how they deal with leadership. But I don't know much about this original run of Transformers from Marvel. But apparently it's good. Oh, Gunsmith Cats. I don't know anything about Gunsmith Cats, but I've seen lots of clips from the anime. And I actually like the manga art style a little bit better than the anime. Um, he loves the attention to detail with all the weapons and vehicles, so they were really okay. The illusion of realism, the stuff can't happen, but it feels like it could. The stories have great action, wonderful characters, and it's beautifully drawn. So he resonated with the technical skill and the realism of it, which excellent. I mean, I love this. I love this cover. She's got a playfulness, a confidence to her face, um, trigger discipline. Yes, um, and you can tell she's confident in whatever she does, which I'm guessing they are a mercenary police group would be my guess. Um, but I mean, it can be very hard to find the illusion of realism, and if that is what can hook you, wonderful. I know the Rags comics. That's one of the things. The original run of Rags in particular. Sailor Rogowski kind of went into fantasy, but the original run of Rags, the realism and attention to detail was a core component of it. From breast physics to trigger discipline to what weapons the military would have. Um, those attention to detail, there are certain minds that will absolutely latch onto that and chew up every inch of it. I've seen it. And if you can do that and then still have this sense of fun, I could see that really, really hooking. Like, I can see that being an incredible hook. So, this is something I would totally check out, but there's just so much incredible stuff out there. It's rare that I'll get to it, right? It's rare that I'll get to everything. But incredible. Oh, I can talk about this one. Oh man, I can talk about this one. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So I was talking about Berserk, right? Let's talk about a Western comic artist who did something very similar, way more indie feeling, way less technically advanced, but left kind of Crow comic. But I'm so glad I read this, and I recently gave my copy away to a friend because I think it would be helpful if they had read it. Um, there's a lot. I'm just trying to pick the right piece, especially from the original run. There's something about the original run that's just. I was talking about Berserk and how Miura left everything on the page, from the thematics he wanted to do to the incredible ink work. It's the same thing here. You can feel it. Yeah, we'll go with this. We'll go with this because it also shows how indie it was. The Crow. So it's a tale of a vengeful spirit. I'm gonna call him coming back to avenge something very, very, very awful. And it was written as a way to deal with a very similar loss from the call him a mangaka because he did everything, but from the artist writer. Wish I could show you that. I don't have a copy of it anymore. Let me see if there's a page of that. Because you see this, right? You see that it's got all this angst in the inking and in the line work chosen and in the face and in the shading and the passion and the fire. I can see all that, but I want to show you if I can find it. There's a juxtaposition in this series that's just incredible. And I want to show you that juxtaposition if I can find it. Oh, it's going to bug me if I can't. It's the most poetic piece of sequential art I've come across. He literally puts poetry in some pages. It's poetic, but I want to show you there's a gentleness in some of the pages when he goes to flashbacks, when the crow is remembering the woman that he's trying to avenge. That's closer. You can see some of the poetry in that, so we'll check that out. But oh, there's somewhere he basically just did it in pencil because he wanted that gentle feeling that graphite without this heavy inking can do. And it's just you can tell why you can feel why he chose to do it that way. That's closer. That's closer, but it's still not it. Oh, it's gonna bug me. You're just not gonna give me that, huh? People are more into the edgier line work, which I don't blame them. That's what would hit the hardest. There's the gentleness again too, but it's not exactly what. That's it, but colored. So I guess we'll go with that. But it's colored. There's still like it's softer in the actual. We go. That'll do it. That'll show it a little bit. It's still not the exact piece I'm looking for, but there it is again. It's tough. It's tough, but there's so Gothic culture has this, why it's attractive. I think a lot of the ways is because this edge, and again, it acknowledges darknesses very much like Berserk does. Berserk's like angry and honest and true about it. The Crow is romantic about it. Is the best way. It's a very romantic work, even in the lettering. Super, super romantic. This is him remembering something and just feeling just awful about it, right? Um, there it is, but it wouldn't be colored. Again, it wouldn't be so colored and but there's a gentleness to his work that's closer, right? Except it still has the inking over it. And then there's some of the poetry he literally put into there. Um, and then you get this, right? And between those two shades, it's absolutely incredible. Just the communication of sorrow, the bittersweet knowledge of all these memories you love mixing with the pain and suffering of loss, the guilt of loss, right? I read it during a loss, during grieving. And it's another piece of work that can very much help with that process. And again, it's a gift. It's an absolute gift when a piece of art can help with something so important, so
so strong and so resonant with a life, right? These big fucking holes that appear, and it can say, "Yeah, I've seen that too," and being able to relate to that and see their journey through it via line work and text. It's one of the most beautiful communications of artistry we can have. It's one of the many reasons I adore comics because you can communicate that through words and prose, through poetry, but being able to physically manifest images as well that can resonate with it. You can see how much he poured every inch into this, very much like Miura. It's again less technically proficient in a lot of the geometry than Miura does. It's a little less interesting in the angling than Miura chooses, but it's got that passion to the page. It absolutely has a very similar passion and just feeling of a soul pouring onto a page, not because they're trying to make a paycheck, not because something else. It's because there's an emotional resonance within them that they must get out. They must communicate. They must share, or if nothing else, to share with themselves, right? To reflect it, to create a mirror of it, to manifest it, so that it's not just crushing the inside of them. It's just beautiful. The Crow is a wonderful story for that. Again, if you're going through grieving, I would recommend it. Berserk, it doesn't deal with grief so much. Again, it deals with the harshness of reality and its many dark flavors and how bad things can get. There is grief to it, but Guts as a character deals with it very differently than how the Crow does. The Crow again is more romantic and gentle about it, whereas Berserk is literally his sword. He swings a giant chunk of iron around to defeat his demons. The Crow lights shit on fire. He shoots people. He It's a little bit more classic. It's not a fantasy thing. It's not. Miura was a blunt instrument, but a very, very focused one. The Crow is more wispy and floaty, and again, romantic. It's a romantic vengeance tale, which is very hard to pull off. And the Crow did it beautifully, and you can feel that love and care in every page. I definitely recommend the Crow. Uh, Beautiful read. And again, the anatomy, for instance, too, not the best, not the best at all, but it doesn't stop from the passion being poured onto the page. It's just incredible, just incredible. Boom, boom, boom. Uh, so Naruto. I know a lot of people are super fans of this. I haven't really given it a shot myself, to be fair. When it was coming out, it was kind of the nerdy manga, and of course, all manga at that point was pretty nerdy. But even within that, there was that extra bit because you get the Naruto run, you have the goofy headbands, you have all the ninja bits to it. All of it felt very quite childish, but in a way childish. So I never got into Naruto, but I know a lot of people it resonates very deeply with, and I'm assuming because it's a very well told shonen where he's growing and evolving, and you get to eventually get to his son, right? Seems like it's a wonderful expression of what mangaka get to express that a lot of Western comics don't get to, which is a life story. Um, That'd be my guess. And I know the art, of course, is top tier. Let's go ahead and type this in, and we'll see if I can find a manga page real quick so I can comment on that. Um, but I don't know much. I'm guessing most of it's going to be the anime, which is just kind of how it goes. Yeah, I'm going to type in manga because I know as usual, animes usually take off more than the manga. There we go. Yeah, here, clear paneling. Just right away, very clear, concise paneling. I don't know what page to choose. Let's go here because it looks like it's a high detail page with less panels. Actually, it's a little scratchy. Yeah, it's a little scratchy. I like that. like the inks are thick. It's not, again, a lot of mangaka go very smooth and flowy. These are heavy and aggressive almost. Um, Neat. Didn't know that about the line work because in the anime, again, it's not this heavy. It's not this aggressive. Huh. And this might be just a scene, right? As you can see, something very big's coming up and crossing, and they want to show that these guys are worried and they're having a hard time. So that might be just chosen for this page, right? But it's got that Oda feel to it. Oda's work is also very scratchy. It doesn't have that smooth, floaty feel to it, which is very neat. So yeah, I agree. I like this artwork quite a bit, actually. It's got me more interested than anything I've seen of the anime ever. So right there, they win. But I'm guessing it's because it's a very told hero's journey with very likable characters. Let's go back over here. In fact, I was just followed by one of Naruto's assistants, thanks to this wonderful person here, discovering them and then checking out their Twitter account. So I have read some Alien Legion. I don't know where it came in. Most people are not going to know Alien Legion, so this will be fun to talk about. So if you're aware of the French Foreign Legion, this was like a sci-fi take on that, where it was a bunch of aliens from different planets formed into one group, and then put on different kind of military actions. And this is the cover of the volume I had. I ended up getting rid of it a long time ago because I read it. And I was like, oh, that was good. I'm probably not gonna read it again, but it was good. And so you got all kinds of really creative character designs because they were all aliens, so you can kind of do almost whatever you wanted. And then you had this military intrigue feel to it where a lot of the missions were a little ambiguous. You know, you don't know if they're really being the good guys, but they are good people, and they start to recognize that. Right, so that's a large part of this series. Oh, I forgot to turn that on a long time ago. That's all right. But I do recommend checking this series out. The character designs were fun. The stories were clean. It's Carl Potts, right? So if you read, there's a good run of Punisher he did with Jim Lee, which was incredible. But he's written a lot for Marvel. Very, very, very good writer. I wouldn't say he's done anything like just that would exceedingly blow you away and became legendary. But like if you want good, solid comics, if Carl Potts is writing it, you're gonna get that. Um, and Alien Legion was a great example of it. Again, the interactions from different cultures, different species, working as one military unit with missions that could be kind of again morally ambiguous it interested the hell out of me. So I could see it resonating with other folks. Definitely check it out. This guy is kind of the main character, but it was very much an ensemble piece. You got a lot of different characters, different motivations. It was kind of a GI Joe with aliens almost. But again, it went more morally ambiguous. They weren't always the good guys like GI Joe, and they didn't have they were more like fighting terrorist groups, which could sort of be called freedom fighters in some cases, right? So again, very interesting. I really liked it. I really liked it. I do recommend checking it out. Uh, Great art and storytelling, and the first that really offered characters he loves, and still burns him out decades later. Exactly. Yeah, so there you go. So he really loved that. Again, it was an ensemble cast. Very cool. These are more classic comics, so we'll talk about these. I don't know too much about either of these, but I've seen some Lucky Luke panels that just they're hilarious. So let's Asterix and Obelix. I am relatively familiar with them in terms of character design. Very iconic kind of Viking character designs. But in terms of the story, I know very little. I get a feeling it's more of a comic strippy kind of storytelling. So not much I can say about that, right? Um, but let's look at a page if I can find it. There's a page. But let's go. Let's go. I guess we'll go where I'm with this one. So again, this is this would be an introduction comic to kids, right? It's very friendly and happy. Um, Fun character designs. One. Uh, yeah. See the guy. Looks like they're filming something, and the big guy's strength is just too much. Beats the hell out of that guy, and then they want him to go again. It's just a classic gag, right? And I think that's kind of what this strip was, which is great for kids, getting them into comics. It's something funny and quick. And again, character designs are iconic, and uh, I'm guessing the characterizations are very fun. I can get why it means a lot, especially a lot of people. It's their first comics that end up meaning quite a bit to them. Now let's see if we can find the one I love. So my favorite Lucky Luke that I've come across is him drawing faster than his shadow. I think that was cool. He's trying to take shots at his shadow. Yeah, there it is. That's my favorite one. He draws quicker than his shadow. I've loved that. I think that is really fun of an idea, and it's very clever. I never would have thought of it. Um, that's a classic Western design. In fact, it looks like Woody from Toy Story took a lot from Lucky Luke. It looks like he had a remake at some point, which I get it. Um, again, just a fun, classic kind of comic style with a sense of humor. Here's him playing chess with his horse, and I'm guessing he's losing. Look at that dog. It's a rough dog. So yeah, I can see this resonating against these early comics. It's why I appreciate all age creators so much because they're the ones who allow things like Berserk and The Crow to exist. Because if you don't have an introduction to the medium at all, if you don't have a love, if you don't have a great handhold that brought you into the medium, you're not going to be in the medium to enjoy those big, deep, sometimes very dark things. And yeah, it's just incredible, incredible. All right. Um, Vagabond. I've heard a lot about Vagabond, so we're gonna check that out. And I know that one, and I've heard of this one. So let's start with Vagabond. I know it more because its artwork is absolutely gorgeous, and I know it's legendary. I don't know much Vagabond manga. Hey kid, you getting bored? Let's see what time it is. Ah, you got a bit more time before I gotta feed you, kid. You good? But you're probably just bored. You just want attention. You just want attention. I know. Oh, I know. I know. You're just bored and want attention. Okay. Yeah, look at that artwork. Oh, wow. Yeah, the art is absolutely incredible. Just look at that. Look at the aggression, the scratchiness, the speed. Oh, that's beautiful. It's another a little bit grimy, but the face, the expression there is just I don't even care. If I remember right, Vagabond is an adaptation of the story of oh god, Miyamoto Musashi, if I'm right, and that in itself is a hell of a tale. I can see why somebody would adapt that. It's a legend, in Japan, and the Book of the Ten Rings is very much worth reading. It's a young man who took up the sword, and then he's trying to communicate his philosophy and how he survived so long using the sword and being a swordsman, which, being a legendary swordsman then, very much like our old legends of gunfighters, right? Everybody wants a piece. Everybody wants to be the one who took you down. Ah, emotion, anger. There's a weird dichotomy in this where there's fire where his sword is, and then there's this more peaceful nature to this side. Very interesting. Um, yeah, Vagabond, legendary. V for Vendetta, I'm very much anti systems of control. V for Vendetta is a big middle finger to systems of control. So of course I'm a fan. Um, Alan Moore can be up his own ass with his writing quite a bit, but usually he does have something to say. Comic. Uh, yeah, there's that art style, very classic kind of coloring. I'm not the biggest fan of that kind of coloring, but it works well enough. Uh, it's communication of when systems of control go too far and somebody wants to bring it down, and then you have the moral ambiguity of, well, the system's protecting people while the system's also hurting people. And when do you decide one version outweighs the other, and then when do you decide is it worth hurting people to break down that system? Um, wonderful concept to explore, and I think Alan Moore does it pretty well in that, well enough to become super, uh, become an icon to that concept. So definitely worth it. Punk Rock Jesus, I've heard of it, no idea about it. So let's check that out. Images. I like the graphics already. I think I know this artist. Oh, Sean Murphy. Okay. Okay. I think this was like his breakout creator owned hit, wasn't it? Sean Murphy's art is always just incredible. Just look at that perspective, and then he's got this. Oh, I love that perspective. And then the designs and how he takes care of faces and inking and shadowing. I love the shadowing. That's kind of like his telltale to me is how he shadows. Um, his light shadows, I guess, where it wouldn't be too much shadowing, because his heavy shadows are like anybody's almost, but the light shadows are very iconic. Um, looks gorgeous. I'm guessing it is yet another tale of fuck the system, like V for Vendetta. I can almost guarantee it, which I get from this fella. Um, it looks like all three, because Vagabond kind of was too. I'm building my own power. I'm taking back power, and I'm guessing this is very similar. Let's go back here and see if I can get a synopsis because I'm kind of curious. Yeah, I know, kid. You're being very patient. You're being patient. Oh, no kisses. No kisses. Oh, reality TV show starring a clone of Jesus. Okay. Causes chaos in the near future. J2, as he calls himself, that causes both outrage and adulation. So people think he's a clone of Jesus, and he's literally punk rock Jesus. Okay. Oh, it's a coming of age tale with some very controversial setup. Cool, cool. That actually sounds pretty fun. It looks like you can get the whole goddamn thing for as little as $2. That's probably a destroyed copy, but $15 for a new copy. How many pages? 224. That's a yeah, good deal for a story that kind of seems like it could be really fun. Probably pretty rough, and it's one of the last Vertigo series. I'm so sorry they killed you, Vertigo. They hired the wrong people that last go, and they just murdered you. And Vertigo was man, it was one of my dreams to work with Vertigo. Oh well. Everything moves forward. But yeah, I could see why people like that. Like those. Most of those again are fuck the system, which I kind of like. Um, Doro Doro. So I know this only from like the Netflix series showing up on Netflix, scrolling by. So I know nothing about. Okay, so he was just interested in it. Because it literally has everything he wants in a series. So I guess all I can do is look this up and we'll look at a synopsis and I'll guess. That's when I asked these questions, I was really hoping people would really be more definitive. I like, yeah, see, I know it from the CGI bit. But I really like the painted cover work. Definitely like that. The covers of these volumes, like that's really fun. It's a very unique art style. Can I get a manga page? Okay, I guess I'm gonna have to type in manga and then page. No, I'm pressing the wrong keys. Yeah, no kid. I might have to let this dog out here in a few too, folks. So give me a minute if I gotta take a break. Oh, there we go. Here we go. Oh wow, I like the manga. It hits you right away, doesn't it? Um, looks like another very technically proficient mangaka. I'm just gonna have to go here. Yeah, okay. Ooh, it's another very scritchy, scratchy mangaka. We've gotten quite a few of these. Oh, and then there's your hook. That's your introduction to the character and your hook. And that's the journey. He's looking to cure himself from this lizard face. I like the scratchy nature, and he says literally everything. So the artwork's good. The writing right here on this page already has me intrigued, so that's good. But I don't know what literally everything he would want is, and since he didn't explain it, it doesn't tell me much. But there's your plot, and it sounds intriguing, and I like the artwork. Had me with one page, so it's got to be good, right? Let's look at this more heavy inked page. I'm very curious. Oh wow, look at that! It's a guy with a heart for a head, or wearing a heart for a head, or a mask. Yeah, those are some character designs right there. Look at the teeth in that luchador kind of looking fucker. That's okay. The character designs are very intriguing. Stan Lee's run on Spider-Man and Daredevil. Doug Mooch's Moon Knight, Burns' She-Hulk, and Thing Battleworld. Marvel 2-in-1. There's a lot there. Tintin. So he thinks that so for all three of these, it's the writing that makes them mean the most. Stan Lee on Spider-Man. So I don't know too much about that. I do know his process from that, where he'd be like, "This is the plot," and then the artist would literally panel, draw, and paste everything, and then Stan would write to it. Very unique kind of way to do it. To make my assumption was so you can get straight to drawing it instead of waiting for a script to be created first. Um, that was cool, and I'm assuming he did the same thing with Daredevil. I'm pretty sure that was Stan Lee's writing process. Um, I don't know, like older comics I have issues with because a lot of them are very wordy. They were really trying to give you a lot of bang for your buck, um, even if that meant that it didn't flow as well, right? So I'm not always the hugest fan of the older works, but Stan Lee's writing and Stan Lee himself is iconic for a reason. Um, I don't know this fella. I don't know Moon Knight very well. I have two issues where he crosses over with the Punisher, and that's all I know about Moon Knight. Sorry, kitty cat. Oh, I gotta move those legs. Images. It looks like we're just getting Moon Knight images. So that's not helpful. Created. So that is his character. Okay. So that is the creator. Half the creative team. They also credit the artist, which is good. Um, Son of a rabbi. He's a former Marine and CIA operative who becomes a mercenary. I remember that. Um, he is just like a dude. He was their answer to. He was another answer to Batman. That much I did know. Um, I know he's got really good stories to him, but I can't really say much because again they weren't very specific. I've heard very much about John Byrne's She-Hulk. Uh, I've heard it's a ton of fun, and I know John Byrne is legendary himself. Apparently, he also did this thing, Battleworld, which I don't know much about. Marvel 2-in-1s were kind of fun, where you'd be able to flip over the comic, and then that side would be a different comic. I have a couple Ghost Rider Wolverines like that. Um, then there was a Rocket Raccoon run he loves, and then of course Tintin, which is another one of those wonderful childhood introductions into comics. So you can't say enough good about those that have remained and stayed, like Asterix and Obelix and Lucky Luke, as we spoke of before. The Max. I do kind of want to talk about Sam Keith for a minute, so we're gonna talk about the Max because Sam Keith is insane. Best way to put it. And there's a lot to that insanity, but he is insane. The Max comic. Oh come on, the Max comic. So I want to show you because I'm pretty sure he did it very much in his own series. Give me a page. Yes. So I want to talk about something that Sam Keith always does that a lot of artists are afraid to do. Yep, there it is again. Oh man, I get to point it all the time. I love Sam Keith how he panels. Um, Nobody quite panels like Sam Keith that I've there it is again. So we're gonna show you this. So Sam Keith is the first real artist that I've ever really seen use the circular panel. He'll do a walleye, fisheye, walleye, I guess is mainly the term, panels as well, where it almost feels spherical. It's not just circular, it's spherical. Um, so good. Keith is nuts, though. The things he chooses to write and how he chooses to write can be quite insane. The Max is a wonderful tale of a powerful being dealing with insanity. I definitely recommend checking it out if you want something exceedingly unique. The round paneling again, just so cool, so cool. And then this one, look at that paneling. Just I want to. He is so interesting with how he panels. That's my favorite part of his work. There's a ton of personality to like how he chooses to draw things too, right? The giant teeth, the angles he'll choose, big hulking monsters. I know his run on Hulk and his runs on Wolverine are really legendary. Um, what I've read recently was Epicurus the Sage, which was him partnered with another guy, just kind of spoofing on a lot of Greek legends and Greek philosophers. I really liked that set of work quite a bit, and it did the same thing. A lot of ugly characters. He likes his big pretty ladies too. As you can see here with the other almost more main character of the Max than the Max, which is the social worker who finds him. Um, his jungle queen in the other reality, of course. Um, I can see the Max resonating with somebody very, very highly. There's other work he did after the Max that is even more controversial. I'm gonna say because the guy he is and probably does struggle with mental health, but beautiful expression of that, and it's so unique. It's so unique. Definitely check out the Max if you have an interest in it just for the artistry alone. Worth checking out. Attack on Titan. A lot of people resonate with Attack on Titan. If you're not aware of Attack on Titan, uh, check it out. There's a reason people love it. I fell in love with the first season of the anime, and then it was like 2 or 3 years before they got to season two of the anime, and I had lost interest. And then I started season two of the anime, and I was like, I don't really have the interest in this anymore. But for some people, it really resonates, and the manga itself has some very aggressive horror art, and then it's got a little bit of sense of humor, like Berserk, and like Berserk, I'm going to say that allows you to breathe, and I think that's important. I think the characters are very strong in Attack on Titan as well. I haven't read again any of it. I've just watched that first season and tried to start the second, but I've seen the love that Attack on Titan has gained, and I think it's a lot of the same reasons that Berserk got the love it was because it deals with hard things in a very good way. Well, at least this person actually linked me because I don't know Tsukasa Hojo. And then yeah, I think I'm actually going to have to pause this, let that dog out, and then grab something to munch on. I should have eaten before this, like I said I was gonna. But nope, because I might even need more coffee too. I'm getting tired. So let's check this out. Oh wow, that's very soft and gentle, beautiful art. I'm gonna do that real quick, leave you with that, and I'll be right back. I'm gonna put this on for a second. Do I have a track to put on for you? I do not. So we'll actually go over here and I'll turn on a track for you folks to listen to, and then I'll be right back with you. Oh, no, that's not it. That's not it. Oh, shoot. I guess I gotta go up here to give you a track. That's annoying, but doable. So I'll be right back, folks. I'll be right back. Alright, alright. I'm gonna cut the track off partway through. Sorry, folks. I think that is it. And I just need to. There you go. I'm back. Dog is outside. Um, so the work of, and then let's try and get that name again. Tsukasa Hojo. That means a lot to her. Ah, wow. It's exceedingly gentle, and when colored, it's just beautiful. It's very soft. Um, can't tell you much about it otherwise. I love his paneling. It looks like he deals mainly with personal interaction kind of stuff, and he likes his pretty ladies, which I cannot blame him. He's good at drawing them. But I can't tell you why, other than, I mean, look at that. Very gorgeous, very gentle, romantic again. So, works for me. Works for me. I hope that's enough. Because I don't know otherwise. I don't. Robotech. Because it's their first. That makes sense. A lot of people. That's why they're gonna mean. It's gonna mean a lot to them, right? Um, I know Robotech is like transforming jets and stuff. I mean, I get it. I get it. I don't know the story too well myself to dive into it. So that's all I can say there. Uh, Todd McFarlane was drawing comics for Marvel in Maximum Carnage. It was the first wildest, dark, gruesome series he read as a kid. He thoroughly enjoyed it. So I have what kept me in comics was exactly wild, dark, gruesome series. That's exactly what hooked me as a kid into comics. So the one I always bring up is Ghost Rider Road to Damnation, Garth Ennis and Clayton Crane. I had never seen art so fucking cool in my life. And I could see somebody seeing Todd McFarlane's art and thinking the same thing. And having it be on Spider-Man, which, is usually a little bit more gentle, and then going all the way to, a Maximum Carnage kind of storyline, yeah, I could see that hitting very, very hard. Um, and I can see somebody falling absolutely in love with it. Absolutely. Um, for plot, characters, engagement, Berserk, which we spoke about, One Piece, oh, which I could go on and on about as well, but we're not gonna. Everything by Urasawa Sensei, Zetman Battle Chasers, which I've heard quite good, Hellboy, which is exceedingly unique art. Some people really don't like Mignola. Um, they are fools, because even though it can look really, the best way I can say is off, there's a technical skill behind it that is just insane. And when you read Hellboy, you can see it. You can see it because it's panel by panel instead of what he usually does now, which is pinups, right? When he's doing just character pinups, it's unique, but it loses some of the charm of his work, I think. Um, but yeah, One Piece means a lot to me as well. Um, and I mean, it's the most popular piece of sequential art to have existed. So there's a reason to check out One Piece. It's just super intimidating to dive into because of how much there is. Um, it's a journey of found family, of rising up against authority, of growing stronger, of pursuing your dreams, of friendship, of just so many amazing things in One Piece. And again, and some of the most unique character designs ever. They're very cool. So there's Crows slash Worst series. Is it Crows slash Worst? Is that what it's called? I don't know. But it is from Hiroshi Takahashi. Shaped the gangster in me growing up, huh, and gave the biggest influence in her own art style. So I never heard of Crows, but at least she even gave some image examples, which I really appreciate. Um, I like the art quite a bit. It's very striking. I love the speed lines. I love. It's a very dark page that she showed, right? It's very heavy on the inking and the shading and the tones that were used. Uh, the anatomy is excellent. The movement's really good. I could see it being very influential. And it's a gangster series, so that's very interesting. Very interesting. And here's Attack on Titan again. Here we go. We can show this page. Like it's horror, no question, and how it's handled, right? Yeah. Apollo Song by Tezuka. Now we haven't actually hit Tezuka yet. Uh, I'm glad we are. Probably the single most influential mangaka, simply because he built the anime industry on his back. And a lot of the manga industry as well. He turned it into something, and he's got a very unique art style. Um, I'm still reading the Osamu Tezuka story, which is basically just a big chunk of Japanese propaganda put into a manga form, which is fine. There's stuff to learn from it, but it's very dry and it's super patriotic, right? Um, I got to check it out more, and then I'll be able to say a little bit more about Tezuka's work. But Astro Boy and a bunch of other properties that he did that are beloved and incredible. And I'm sure this specific it felt like a red pill into his creative brain that changed something within him that felt unique and awe-inspiring. He'll never forget it. So there was something in here that just clicked with him, and that's what a lot of the best pieces of work will do. For me, as I say, I was gushing over Berserk because there was something in there, how it was being told, or what it was that clicked with me. I love hearing that. Junji Ito, he's one I kind of psychological and physical and geometrical horror. Just, I'm thinking he's pretty much the mangaka horror master. Um, he'll take a very simple concept like spirals and then turn it into something exceedingly horrific. And I can see that exploration and that bit again resonating with people. I'm not, as I said earlier, I'm not the biggest horror fan myself. But for those who are, finding a unique, masterful expression, I'm sure is very rare, especially with most of our Western works are bludgeons. They're based on our slasher kind of sentimentality. Um, Ito's horror is very much not that. It's intelligent and it is precise and it is imaginative and it is absolutely horrific. Um, and his ability to express that in sequential artistry is again pretty much unmatched. So I respect the shit out of Ito. It's just not something I'll probably ever really explore myself. Naruto. Again, Rock Lee and Might Guy are motivational. I know Rock Lee is like somebody without powers, right? Who's keeping up with these guys. Um, and we talked about Naruto earlier with it being, a hero's journey that is fully expressed and must have some really good characterizations. Uh, I'm gonna have to look at this because I don't know it. Special spot for Video Girl AI. It was the first comic I got to read that was not about superheroes. So right there, right? It meant a lot because even though they like superhero comics, not too fond of writing in that genre, as I'm thinking what they meant to write. Drama is her thing, and Video Girl AI had wonderful drama. Let's look at this. Let's look at this. Huh! Art style is unique, except when we get to the anime, it kind of took some of the edge off of it, it looks like. Guessing those are manga covers. Drama, there we go. Thank you. Ooh, I like the perspective quite a bit. Let's see. Okay, this reminds me of Hajime no Ippo's mangaka George. God, I don't remember his last name. It's got that style to the faces, which are closer to Osamu Tezuka's style of manga artistry. But yeah, I love the art. Real masterful drama, they say. So check that out if that's what you're looking for. Especially if you're sick of superhero comics, because that's what it did for this person. Ghost in the Shell, one of the cyberpunk staples. Yeah, that makes sense that showed up. Um, Into the Fold of Cyberpunk, yep, absolutely. Intelligent, tactically proficient, stylish, poignant, and even a bit hopeful as it probes at and mulls over the nature of humanity in the face of unrelenting progress and ever-present terrors. Um, it seems to have a harder, more spy thriller edge to it than Alita Battle Angel, and I love Alita Battle Angel because it deals with a lot of that transhumanist, cyberpunky exploration myself. Um, So I know more about Alita than Ghost in the Shell, but I know Ghost in the Shell is just a absolute cyberpunk staple, and for good reason. Fantastic Four, in particular Dan Slott's current run. I'm glad to hear people liking Dan Slott because all I hear is people hate him, and I'm not the biggest fan of his social media presence at all. But I have some Ren and Stimpy comics he wrote in the '90s that I just adore. I think they're funny as shit, and he nailed the Ren and Stimpy humor. Um, I know people didn't like his Spider-Man either. Um, Well, let's see why they liked his Fantastic Four. In addition to being fun and having lots of heart, it tells important messages like how families should treat each other and everyone deserves love no matter how different they may be. And I think Fantastic Four shines the best when it's a family story. So I appreciate that tackled it. Comics, Spawn, because he loves the story and the action. Spawn resonated with a ton of people. I don't blame anybody for picking Spawn. Manga, The Great Teacher Onizuka. It taught me how to live, and it associated with lots of Gen Xers and Millennials. Let's look at this. Let's look at this. I don't know what this is at all. Images. Oh, ha! Okay, I've seen the meme with this guy from the anime. This is mostly looks like he has a lot of fun with faces. That looks like the mangaka did, and then it translated to the anime. Okay, I'm gonna have to type in manga again, but that's fine. It is still. There we go. Yeah, it's faces. The guy's great with faces. Teaching. I'm a teacher. All right. All right. Well, I love it. So this is more that smoother art style I was talking about too, and it definitely has the Tezuka again influence in it. But the guy's just it looks like he's a master of facial expression, which is great to see. I don't know the story again, but it resonated with a lot of Gen Xers and millennials, so that's worth checking out. Then Trigun. If you ever see any of their action scenes, you can thank the manga series for that. So I've got a lot to say about Trigun, and some of it's not so great. I feel, and this is my hot take on Trigun, that it is 100% carried by its characterization, and that its art style often is exceedingly muddy in its flow and pacing. Action scenes, of course, again, like you said, influences action scenes. They can be pretty smooth. They can be pretty smooth and pretty cool. But like the panel to panel character interactions, moving from scene to scene, um, they can be a mess. Just an absolute mess. And it's the manga I've had to go back to a previous page and look at the final panel again and again, just trying to figure out how we got to places more than any other manga I can talk about. Um, it can be an absolute mess, but man, Vash is a amazing character. The plot overall is really good, but the moment to moment flow of it is again just terrible in my opinion. The character designs are excellent. The world design is excellent. The world building's fun. The supporting cast is fun. But the technical bits of the manga stand in the way of a lot of it, in my opinion. But Trigun still, all of the good bits of it for me resonate with me like crazy. I love the great bits, but the actual execution when reading through it, it can be an absolute mess, and that bugs me. But it is what it is. I totally would still recommend Trigun. I'm not saying it's unreadable at all. It's just it might make you work more to understand what's going on than I'd like. That's for sure. Some people might not mind it. Some people it might just flow perfectly for, but it didn't do that for me. I'm into Trigun Maximum now, and it still has the same problem. That's the second story arc, kind of the soft reboot. Um, Hellblazer and Preacher. Um, I'm in love with Hellblazer. Basically, all the artists, all the authors of it, but particularly Jamie Delano's first run. And I didn't like Grant Morrison's stuff so much. Garth Ennis, it's all right. It can be really good at some points, but it's more all right. Jamie Delano's writing though on Hellblazer, oh man, I love it. And then there's a couple self-contained Hellblazer stories I really like City of Demons was incredible. Preacher, I have to sit down with it. I'm a fan of Steve Dillon, even though he had same face syndrome and he was kind of stiff in his stuff. But anything he did with Garth Ennis ended up being really pretty goddamn good. Preacher in particular is the legendary thing. But he did a lot of Punisher with Garth that I really liked. Um, and he did a lot of Hellblazer with Garth, which is good. But it's really good. They're good stuff. They're good stuff. It's just again those are heavier titles too, right? So why I like Berserk and was probably able to get into Berserk is because I read Hellblazer, just straight up. And I was a big fan of studying the occult when I was younger, diving into those both darker and lighter recesses of human knowledge and existence. And Hellblazer was a great way with that, and it always treated it with faith um, and honesty. Um, at least the really good Hellblazer writers. And nowadays, where it's John Constantine, it's not it lost something. It was one of the things that the death of Vertigo kind of took with it was a lot of the spirit of Hellblazer. It's like, oh well, we got to keep John Constantine. He's super popular, but now he's part of the main DC, so like all of his like 90% of his charm and attitude and the world building that he had built kind of has to get chucked, and it's not great. Um, but yeah, I as I said here, but I did not get to Preacher. One of my best friend loves Preacher. I just have not been able to. I tried to start the TV series just because it would be easier to consume, and nope. So that is what it is. Dragon Ball Z, Ranma 1/2, and Fully Cooley. I watched the Fully Cooley TV show. It was one of the craziest, batshit insane things I had ever watched, and it was so much fun because of that. And a little bit of sexiness when you're a teenager. You always appreciate that, right? Ranma 1/2, I've heard nothing but good things. I know her work more from Inuyasha. Inuyasha was a massive influence for me getting into Japanese artistry just overall. The combination of romance and demonic horror and action. Just I love Inuyasha. Rather 1/2 I think is more slice of life and is a little bit more fun. Um, so that's that's super important. But I haven't read anything. I haven't read anything. Same with Fully Cooley. Again, it was just the anime that I know, and that was a lot of fun. And of course, he says Dragon Ball Z. Um, I'm a bigger fan of Dragon Ball. Um, but I like the whole progression to the end of Dragon Ball. 'Cause that's what the manga's called, Dragon Ball, all the way through Z. Z was just like, this is just different enough from the original run of Dragon Ball that we're gonna call it something else for the American audience, and they'll probably latch onto it more because it's more action based. I loved Dragon Ball for its comedic nature. It made it a lot more fun for me than Z. Z lost a little bit of the fun, which is fine. They wanted to deal with more serious stuff. They wanted to deal with more action, period, than what Dragon Ball set off to do. And then you could tell when you're reading the manga too. Every time he was drug out of what he thought was the end. So the Cell Saga is where he wanted to finish Dragon Ball. And they're like, nah, this is doing really well. We've got more money for you. Please help us stay afloat. And he's like, okay, fine, I'll do the Boo Saga. And then he finishes the Boo Saga, and then you can feel in Dragon Ball Super, they keep pulling me back. You can feel that with Toriyama again and again, but he somehow manages to make something decent even when it wasn't something he had planned to make. So I do appreciate that quite a bit. But you can kind of feel it in each time he was brought back, right? Like the end of Dragon Ball, bring him back, Rizzy. End of the Cell Saga, bring him back. It's a little rough, but it's how it goes, and I appreciate what he was able to do with it. Now this is Will Callaghan's own series, so I'm not gonna talk about that in particular, but that's why it means so much to him. It's like me talking about Jack being like the most important series to me, and of course it is, but like that's not why we're here. And there's Berserk again. We already spoke about Berserk, though. I'm not gonna do that, but opens new horizons and fresh thinking. That's a great way to phrase it as well. Tokyo Revengers. I don't know this series. Says it's the best manga out there. It's been 20 years since he found one that kept his interest like this, huh? Huh. Yep, know nothing about this. That looks like let's type in manga again because we're trying to focus on even though the stories in the anime often are very similar if not the same. This is focusing on comics and the sequential art itself. Here's that smooth style I was talking about. And I keep talking about that. I like kind of seeing the gruffer style from mangaka because I see a lot of this clean. It was really nice. There's nothing wrong with this style. Absolutely not. No, nothing wrong with it. But I like seeing folks who do something a little bit different because this seems to be more of the base level. Okay, I can't look at that. Fine. We'll look at this one then. Yeah. Now, what is it about? Because I don't think he said anything about it. He's just like, it's good. That's why it's my favorite. Okay, well, that doesn't help me out much, but okay, main character lives an unsatisfying life right up until his death, and he wakes up 12 years in the past. He reckons with the eventual fate of his friends and tries to prevent an unfortunate future. Oh wow, that sounds pretty good. It's like a Groundhog Day kind of scenario, except it doesn't repeat again. It's just he's sent back and he knows what's going to happen. And my guess is it's him trying to change things and not being able to. Cool. Sounds like a fun series. If it's executed well, I could see that very, very much hitting people. So Akira, we haven't talked about Akira. Domu, Lone Wolf and Cub, we haven't talked about them. Blade of the Immortal, we haven't, and Appleseed. Wow, those are all. So there's four there. I prefer to talk about it when they say why, right? So Akira, um, art style is wonderful. The tragic downfall story is exceedingly resonant. I don't know Domu, so I'm gonna have to look that one up. Lone Wolf and Cub, that father-son samurai political dynamic is wonderful. Blade of the Immortal, it's another samurai story I don't know too much about. Appleseed, I've seen the movies, and I always love the movies. It's another great cyberpunk expression from Japan. Domu, and then I'm going to type in manga, because it looks like Domu is a place. Ooh, I like this is also kind of comes from the Tezuka kind of style of art. Of course, grown a little bit as you can see. It looks like it's also a little bit on the horror side. Yeah, it looks like it's a psychological kind of dealy, at least partly. Really clean and nice artwork. The paneling, of course, like most manga is, any kind of popular manga is nice. There is a conflict bit to it. Yeah, it looks like it's a psychological exploration kind of deal. Really well done, though. Very clean. It's got me intrigued. Let's look at the story. I had to for Tokyo Revengers after all. As a top Japanese book award, yeah, it's won things. I'm not surprised. The manga has some timeless imagery. There's a lot to offer in this eerie, psychological, single volume comic. Got it. So yeah, it was a psychological thriller. I guess the best way to put it. Lone Wolf and Cub is beautiful, and of course the storytelling is extremely timeless. It's a grand example of the patriarch. What it's supposed to be instead of the negative connotations we get pretty consistently. And again, yeah, the artistic expression is just beautiful. I have, I think, two volumes of Lone Wolf and Cub that came out through Dark Horse that I really appreciate. But I'm sure the full story is just incredible. Blade of the Immortal, I'll show the art on that, and then we'll look at the synopsis because I'm not 100% sure what it's about, but I know I've seen the art quite a few times. Isn't it known here as like Rurouni Kenshin? It the same story. I could be wrong. And this one actually looks like it's also Miyamoto Musashi because there's the two sword style that he was famous for. So I might have been wrong with Vagabond. I wouldn't be surprised. I might have been confusing it with Blade of the Immortal. Oh, I love it. It's really, really good artistry and pacing. Look at that. Very very dramatic and powerful. Let me see if I can check out the synopsis on that one. Oh, that's the film. I'm not looking for the film. No, it's not. Or if it is, they changed the name from Musashi. No wound can kill him except for a rare poison. So he's literally an immortal. It's a blade of an immortal. Okay, yeah. No, it was not what I was thinking. So I might have been correct then with Vagabond. That would be great. But beautiful artistry, and I know very much beloved. And let's look at the Appleseed manga just because I know its style is really kind of cool. I really appreciated the anime movie adaptations did their best to do the cell shaded kind of three-dimensional cartoon look, and I always say like that stuck with me right away from the films. But I know it looks better as the manga. I just know it because I've seen the manga panels before. Very influenced in style. Kind of had that. We were looking at Gunsmith Cats earlier. Kind of has a bit of that to it, doesn't it? There we go. There's an actual manga panel. That's what I. There's a page. Cool. But yeah, I love Appleseed's art direction. Yeah, look at that. Incredible. And it's another great cyberpunk dystopian kind of tale. Oh, an 8 panel manga page. Those are actually kind of rare. Clear storytelling. I would recommend checking out the Appleseed movies, and then if you're interested, jump into Appleseed, especially if you're looking for cyberpunk stuff. It's hilarious, but more than that, the creator resists all temptation to just keep adding to it, releasing more and more volumes. It's got a beginning, a middle, and an end, covering the 4 years the protagonist spent in high school. Every moment is precious. So this is another well thought out, well designed slice of life, I'm guessing. Japanese comedy manga written by this fella, so it's comedy too. Yeah, it's slice of life. It's okay manga. It looks like a kind of a classic. I forgot what they call the female shoujo manga style. There we go. Thank you. Just looking for paneling. Actually, no, it's a little rounder than the classic shoujo manga kind of style. Really good with expressions again. And of course, it's comedy, so that can always be fun. And it looks like these are two different strips. Like Full Metal Alchemist did strips like these at the end. So I don't think that's actually a manga page. Those are just strips. Yeah, see, like I think that's probably a manga page, and this one is too. Yeah, the rest are just strips. Or those are just strips, and it's like a pinup next to a strip, because that seems like a thing that he does. Because I don't think they'd all be 8 panel bits like that. It looks like they all are. Huh. That's all it's giving me is those strips. So we're going to have to assume. But if you're looking for fun, hilarity, and something that was concise and didn't try to get milked, go for it. That looks like fun. John Byrne shows up again with Man of Steel 1 through 6. The series established who and what Superman is to him and showed him a being with so much power who uses this. We talked about this earlier with My Hero Academia. This phrased it great. That's exactly what I want to see from a character like Superman or All Might. Um, a being that is so powerful but uses it to be an example and to help others. That's perfectly put out. Like I resonate 100% with that. Let's look at the art style just because I'm very curious. But I know John Byrne is a legendary comic writer for a reason. I want to see the Man of Steel from John Byrne. Oh, okay, that's one of these classic kind of very classic Superman style. That's good to see. Let's see what this page says. Uh, I may have been conceived out there in the endless depths of space, but I was born when the rocket opened on Earth, in America. I'll cherish always the memories Jor-El and Lara gave me, but only as curious mementos of a life that might have been. Krypton bred me, but it was Earth that gave me all I am, all that matters. It's Krypton that made me Superman, but it was Earth that makes me human. Wonderful. Again, it's supposed to be, part of Superman is he's one of the ultimate American immigrant stories. I love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Definitely should check that out. Gintama. I've heard of Gintama. At least it gives me some art. This is that clean style again that I was talking about. That's pretty prevalent. Never wanted to end, and let's face it, no manga or comic has better titles than this series. The Last Samurai, Descend. That I don't know. We enter into the final chapter. I don't know. Oh, lesson. Okay. This is probably the title. Lesson 597. So, God, 597 chapters. Even if a natural perm gets limp and bent, it'll eventually spring back. Okay, okay, so it looks like it's a comedy action kind of story. Looks clean. If this looks interesting to you, check it out. Peanuts. There's another one of those wonderful introductory comics that I am endlessly grateful for, and anybody can appreciate at any age. And for this person, it was you don't have to be the best to be the best. This guy, it's basically anything the X-Men till about 2010. Just different things hit him differently, I'm guessing. So that one's really impossible to kind of talk about, but I could see that. I know the X-Men have had many legendary runs that have really resonated with people. Dragon Ball. Yep, I'm with there too. Because of the story, the characters, attention to details on the vehicles. It's true, he's very good at that. But the cartoony looks made them cute and cool at the same time. Very true. DB is the main reason why he wanted to draw comics since childhood. DB is very fun. It's gentle. I love the original Dragon Ball run. It's another great like introduction to manga for like a younger kid. It's a lot of fun, but you still get cool action. You get growth, all of that, and then you get into Z, and like I wouldn't start somebody off on Z like most Americans started off with the Z anime for Dragon Ball. I would not do that. I think you lose a lot of what makes Dragon Ball as a series just magical. Because he did. He took a lot of it out. He's like, well, now we've got like series like Fist of the North Star and all these grittier, edgier things that I got to kind of keep up with. And we lost some of the fun Toriyama can do because of that. But it's worth it. Silent Voice by this fella. The manga is better than the anime. It really shows the multifaceted issue of bullying and the people involved. It doesn't resort to tropes or psychological philosophies, but instead showing people as they are. Well, I can appreciate that very much. Let's see. Let's see if I can find that, because that seems like a valuable story, and I want to see the artistry that expressed it. Reliking these as they go down, I get into. There we go. Just so I remember where I am in case something happens also. Dragon Ball manga again. Images. Oh, okay. Another kind of slice of life, but as it said, bullying and like how things really are. It was a honesty again. It's one of the best things with manga. We've talked about that again. Is that it's very honest expressions of an artist. That's a beautiful panel. Oh, wonderful panel. A lot of emotion and expression. The guy's wondering why she's being so kind, touching his hand. She's trying to express that kindness and maybe even show him something in particular about himself. All of that communicating just the panel. I love it. Oh man, very very clean, very clean, very poignant. Might be the better term. Very poignant. Definitely check that out. That looks great. Dragon Ball again. This in this case, it was like I love how it was drawn, which is fair. Once you get to Dragon Ball Z, it was more artistically. I mean, he had gotten better. Toriyama had gotten better, and since he focused on action, the action got better. But again, I like Dragon Ball's goofiness much better. Naruto, he doesn't even want to say why, but we've talked about them a few times, so obviously it resonates quite a bit. Denny O'Neil and Chuck Dixon's work on the Batman family. So when they started introducing that stuff, I know Denny O'Neil is quite legendary for a few different reasons. The thing I've read the most of his is The Question, that run way back when, and I really appreciate that. Um, but I don't know much more on that. I know Chuck Dixon introduced a lot of the Bat family himself. We actually brought up Chuck Dixon's work on Batman earlier with Nightfall, the breaking of the Bat. So it makes sense that they showed up again. And then Akira, because everything comes from Akira. Akira was a massive, massive influence. It was one of those manga that broke a ton of barriers. It helped lay the definition of cyberpunk. It's body horror, um, science fiction exploration, the movie itself with how it was animated. I mean, Akira broke so many boundaries. So I'm not surprised. Again, it was another one that got mentioned here a few different times. This is probably the newest work that's been mentioned here, which is the Super Sons run by Tomasi, which I've heard again and again is really good, and people got really mad when they decided to age both these fellas up and change up what they were doing. Um, I heard it was fun, it was wholesome, and it's the kind of comic you want to read with your kids, and I really appreciate that. And that's what a book like this should be. So really cool. I'm glad that showed up. Then we're going to check what the quote tweets were. And then we are actually close to finished here unless there's a bunch of quote tweets. Nope, 9. So there's a few more to go. That's the only one you're going to show me? Really? Just going to show me the one that I put out today to remind people what we were doing? I guess we're not checking out the quote tweets. Let's try that again just in case it was just a weird Twitter loading thing. Nope, it's just going to show me that. So I guess that's it there, folks. Wow. Ended on Super Sons, which is a good one to. And why is that blocked? Because it was may contain words that blah blah blah. Made me laugh. Was it the word innocent? Weird that it was blocked. Weird that it was blocked. But yeah, some great works we talked about today. I'm sure there's a billion more that really resonated with people. But let me know in chat now or in the comments down below later if somehow you made it through this whole wonderful discussion of sequential artistry. I want to know what and why things have resonated with you so much with sequential art. Comics is a very niche medium, but it spawns so much artistry in other mediums. It itself is self-perpetuating in a way a lot of mediums aren't, meaning that it inspires other works within its own self more than I see a lot of other mediums do. Um, and as I was talking about during The Crow and during Berserk and a lot of other things, there's an ability for a single person. It's kind of unique to single creators, right? To creators who are just doing it themselves, to pour everything onto a page. Um, Sometimes in writing, I'm sure you can feel that, right? Poetry in particular, for me. But and sometimes in illustration you can feel it too, absolutely. Paintings, right? Paintings in any kind of visual medium, you can feel that. Sculpture, things like that, you can absolutely feel everything being left in the piece of work. No question. But there's a certain bit of it when you're combining writing with art. There's a certain communication that happens that doesn't happen otherwise. And there's a certain ability and magic there that doesn't happen otherwise. And I mean, I'm working with it. I want to know, I want to evolve, I want to learn, and I want to spread that ability. And as we move into issue number 4, I truly hope I'm able to do just a small amount of that in issue 4 and in anything else we're able to do. And I can't do that without knowing about it and without kind of getting a feel and an idea of what has been able to succeed in doing that, and in particular how and why. So that was what this was an exploration of that, a deep dive into it. And that's what this whole thread was about, was me just trying to reach out and feel that. Um, so I recommend folks check this out and let me know in the comments below and chat now what comic manga series mean the world to you, and in particular, why. Again, we went through a bunch today. I think we might have spent the most time on Berserk and Supergirl, because Supergirl actually had some art to go off of, but no story, which was kind of funny. And Berserk, I can't say enough about. But there is and the Crow was the other one we spent a lot of time on because those mean a lot to me, Crow and Berserk. But there's so many things we kind of just touched on. Like One Piece, I just kind of explained a little bit of why it resonates with me. But there's so much there. There's so much there, and I'm sure each of these works has a billion things you could talk about. Some folks were a little bit clearer about why, which I really appreciated. Some people were kind of vague about why, so I had to guess. Um, but I think at the end of the day, hopefully this stream has communicated a little bit of that to other creators too, because I know there's quite a few other creators. One of them just showed up. Welcome, Athie. That you know maybe they didn't think about, or an angle that resonates with them that they are reminded of, or something they saw that they really liked. That's the whole point of this. I wanted to, as I said before we started the stream, well, before we started this segment of the stream, uh, that uh, I don't know. I'm gonna think I'll leave it there. But check out this thread again if you're on Twitter if you want to kind of look through it. I was really hoping I could check out these other quote tweets because we weren't 100% done, but you see what Twitter's doing to me. You see. It's not giving me the quote tweets, so I can't really say what was quoted, which yeah bothers me. But uh, I appreciate you folks joining me and kind of celebrating what you love. And again, let me know anywhere. Let me know on this thread here. Let me know comments, anything. What comics, manga, what sequential art means the world to you? Because like any art, it has an ability to resonate deeply. And in particular, I'm always super curious about what this very niche medium is able to accomplish in that area. Because a lot of the time, if comics are able to reach somebody, they become lifelong comics fans, and they're always searching for something like what originally got them, or they're trying to make what originally got them. I mean, I can say that myself, trying to grow upon it and just explore these wonderful expressions. And I'm glad to do it alongside you folks. And I think that kind of covers the stream. I'm sorry to anybody who just got here, but I think the stream might be worth watching, you know, on replay. It's probably a relatively long one. I knew it would be um, when I started it. And thank you so much for your time. I've been Cody. It is midnight sleeping over here. The dog's outside. And I'll catch you next time on this rusty IronVerse Comics trail. Take care. And keep an eye out. Issue number 4 is crawling along. Beginning of the stream, we talk about it. So if you're just arriving or you somehow go halfway through this, just check it out. Or I guess you'd be here hearing me, right? Let me know your thoughts on number 4 as well. Catch you folks later. Take care. Much appreciated.